Hey, welcome back to the Metropole Grid. My name is Andre. Thanks so much for tuning in. Today we have a brand new deck dive for you, showing off a pretty exciting archetype that if you've just been playing Netrunner in the startup format, you probably have never seen before. This is called a tag me archetype. It's a runner that wants to go out of their way to take as many tags as they can. And on that note, this is a standard deck list. And while we have been largely uploading startup gameplay on this channel for the last month or so, I do want to show some startup gameplay, and I will promise you that while if you're not familiar with standard, we're going to try and make this as approachable as possible. Firstly, the majority of cards you're going to see in this video are actually startup cards. There's only a small portion, maybe a bit less than half, of the cards in the standard card pool that see a lot of play that aren't also startup cards. But on top of that, for the ones that you aren't that case and that you see a lot, and maybe I didn't show it long enough on camera, I did go in the video and annotate some card images, so it should be easy to keep track and kind of watch along. Worlds, mind you, the World Championship is just in about 2 weeks at the time of recording, and I will be casting the standard tournament. There will be a startup world tournament too. So I'm hoping also this sort of like gradual transition might aid in helping you enjoy watching the standard World Championship and get a bit more out of it. So let me know how that goes. But firstly, this sort of archetype, the tag me runner archetype, has been a big thing in Netrunner classically for a long time. Now, Data Leak Reversal is a very old card. This card actually won Worlds about 7 years ago and almost won Worlds a couple times after that. This isn't in the standard card pool anymore, but the idea here is it's a card that is risky because the runner is choosing to take tags, but gives the runner access to some powerful abilities. You can start ripping cards off the top of R&D. And this sort of archetype has been a very powerful thing, but admittedly a bit meta dependent. If there's too many decks in the meta that you're playing into that can punish you for having tags, the viability of this deck kind of goes up or down. And modernly in the standard format, there's only one really big reason, one payoff to take a lot of tags, and that's this, counter surveillance. This is a card that came out in the Red Sand cycle, and it's a resource that for a click, you trash this to run a central server, R&D or HQ, and you can pay exactly the same amount of credits equal to the tags you have to access that many cards from a central server. So if you have 5 tags, you can run HQ, pay 5 to see all of HQ, or more often than not, if you say you have 7 to 9 tags, whatever the number is, you can pay that amount of credits, you're running R&D, and then you're going to see the top 9 cards of R&D. And that is how these decks generally want to close games off. They want to take a bunch of tags, they want to get enough economy, they want to still put on enough pressure to the corporation, and then throw a big haymaker to lock the top of R&D, or maybe steal the winning 2 to 3 agendas. And this is really exciting. And inherently, tag me archetypes or tag me decks are pretty interesting to build. Now, obviously, as a runner, if you're going out of your way to take tags, you can no longer really rely on resources. So the sort of resource economy that's pretty common across Anarchs, basically all runners, mind you, you can't rely on it. You can't really play liberated accounts. You can't really play the companions because, of course, every single corporation can spend a click and 2 credits to lean over the table and trash your stuff. So we're going to try and play most of our economy off operations and programs. You'll see how that works out. But another really big point to understand the value of tag me decks in the standard archetype is recently in the second last ban list about like 2 months ago, high profile target was recently banned from the format. This is a card that allows the corporation to do 2 meat damage for every tag the runner has. So you see very quickly where it's a problem if the runner has 8 tags, they're probably not going to survive for very long. And with this card now being banned, the sort of tag me archetype gets a bit more room to breathe. So this is it's a pretty exciting time if you want to take on those tags. And of course, I have to give a huge shout out off the top here to Clem, who sent this list to me. Clem is a player in the local meta here in Montreal, but also a patron on the channel. And he was very excited to send me this list of a very, as fancy as he calls it, a tag me, interesting, a lot of pressure, all put into this new ESA list. So first off, we're playing Essa Afontov. This is the new Anarch from Midnight Sun, and Zur ability wants to take on the core damage to do that sabotage and get the free card draw. This is something that's a nice add to the deck, and you'll see that some of the parts of this deck work together with Essa to kind of help the downsides that Essa can run into. And there's 2 big cards in terms of the tag archetypes. We looked at one of them so far, and that's counter surveillance. We're running 2 of these. This is the way that we're trying to close games. I do think you can use these in the mid game to get a bit of tempo to lock the deck, but a lot of times I'm looking to use this to be a haymaker to end the game. But the other big tag me card is this console Obelisk. And Obelisk has a really very valuable ability. It says your maximum hand size is increased by the number of tags you have. And this is really important. Firstly, we are playing Essa, so inherently we want to take on some core damage, which reduces our hand size. And so this is a way that we can play this console and increase our hand size so we can continue to take on more and more core damage throughout the game. Classically, most Essa decks are running Marrow, the other console that came out alongside Essa in Midnight Sun, and Marrow has additional hand size, which is super necessary. I think it's really hard to play Essa without any way to increase your hand size, and Obelisk fits the bill, which is actually really quite exciting. But on top of that, the bottom ability of Obelisk says the first time per turn that you access cards from R&D or HQ, you can draw the same amount of cards that you've accessed. And this is quite potent. Just throughout the game, that's good enough tempo. You can run HQ, see a card, draw a card. That's nice. If you hit an upgrade, you draw 2 cards. Fantastic. But on top of that, the fact that we're playing counter surveillance, we can run R&D, see 6 cards, and then draw 6 cards. So this continues to fuel us throughout the game. And on top of that, drawing 6 cards and holding 6 cards is pretty easy because we already have potentially +6 hand size. So these two cards work really well together. They're very synergistic and they do help a heck of a lot with ESA. And speaking of hardware, the only other hardware we're running is Ghost Tongue, another card from Midnight Sun. It comes down, you take a core damage, which means sabotage 2. That's fantastic for ESA, but this reduces the play cost of every event. And that's really important because as we said before, we are a tag me archetype, so we can't rely on resources for that drip economy. So we're going to play a lot of events that we can get even more money from the Ghost Tongue. So this all works really well together. And I'm going to run through the list. And of course, some of these cards are standard, some of them are startup, but you'll see it's about a half-half mix. And let's start here at the top with Deuces Wild. This is a championship card designed by Dan Dergenio, who's actually one of the first people to win Worlds with a Tag Me list. And this is a really cool modal event. It is actually 1 influence as a neutral card, not something you see all the time. But when you play this, you get to pick 2. And all of these are generally pretty good. The remove 1 tag is something we're not obviously interested in, but for drawing 2 cards, gaining 3 credits, we're playing this for 1 credit with Ghost Tongue. That's pretty good. Top of that, we have Dirty Laundry. Not much has to be said here. We want to make those accesses specifically with Obelisk. Once a turn, we want to hit a central server. Why not gain 4 credits at the same time with Ghost Tongue? And Hot Pursuit. This is a standard card, and this is one of the cards that can give us tags. We mentioned that we have good payoff cards for having a lot of tags, either additional hand size or the multi-access from counter surveillance. But we also, of course, need to be mindful that we have enough cards in our deck that can give us tags, because otherwise we're just hoping that the corporation has ice or traps that tag us. And Hot Pursuit is a nonsense powerful card. We're running HQ for a 2 credit run and we're getting 9 credits back. So this is a 7 credit profit, let alone an 8 credit profit with Ghost Tongue, barring break costs. But the downside, quote unquote, to this card is that it gives you a tag that classically you'd have to clear. But the idea for us is we want that tag. So this just becomes all gas all the time, Penguin on motorcycle. We're playing 3 of these. This is absolutely fantastic. We again have Jailbreak as a 3 of, and this is actually one of the changes that I made to the list in testing, and Clem has agreed and has since changed his version. This card is just really good. Otherwise, if you look at the list, we have not a lot of multi-access barring the 2 counter surveillance, which takes some time to set up and you need to farm those tags. So having additional access to Jailbreak to have a bit more pressure, that's super important. On top of this works out so favorably with Obelisk. The idea is that you could run R&D, draw a card with Jailbreak, access 2, draw 2 with Obelisk, and this becomes a diesel with multi-access attached to it. Draw 3 is phenomenal. So this helps a lot at speeding the game up and giving you pressure outside of just the massive counter surveillances. Then there's 3 Labor Rights. This is another card that's in the standard format. This is just a recursion card, another champion design. And this card allows you to, it forces you to trash 3 cards from the top of your deck and then take 3 from archives or from your heap, and shuffle them back into your deck. And this is abstractly pretty important from this archetype because inherently the fact that we might be holding some very important cards for the matchup and taking core damage at the same time, more often than not, you end up losing 1 or 2 cards that you would want later on in the game. So the Labor Rights are your mid to late game solution to help you draw into the things that you want that you've lost early. I think the version I'm playing is on 2 copies of Labor Rights. Clem here is on 3. I don't really like the 3 Labor Rights all the time because a lot of times in your early hand it's not the best. But that being said, Labor Rights did become a bit of a more consistent and better card on most sports states with the existence of Steelskin Scarring. Mind you, we're going to play this regardless in every Anarch deck going forward. For 0 cost with your Ghost Tongue, you're drawing 3, let alone if this gets trashed to core damage or to damage from the corporation, it's just free card draw. But the cool thing about this card too is that if it's trashed at the top of your stack, you do get the card draw anyways. So you can draw a fair bit by just playing Labor Rights and getting lucky. Next up, we have 3 copies of Running Hot. Not much has to be said about this. This is one of the best cards you can play in any ESA deck. On its own, for 1 credit or free with Ghost Tongue, you're getting clicks back, you're getting sabotage, you're getting your card draw. This is just phenomenal. You'd love to play as many of these largely as you can. And the cool thing is once you have your Obelisk and your massive hand size, you can play these over and over again if you can recur them with Labor Rights. Next up, 3 Sure Gamble. Not much has to be said here. It's fantastic, even better with Ghost Tongue. And then 2 Wildcat Strike. I think my version is playing 3 Wildcat Strike, 2 Labor Rights. Not the biggest difference, but good economy card. You almost never get card draw off of this, but it's even better with the Ghost Tongues. We talked about the hardware, and again, it's worth noting here, while Ghost Tongue is fantastic and a unique card, in the mid to late game, when you have additional hand size because of Obelisk and tags, you can go ahead and install your second Ghost Tongue, your third Ghost Tongue. You just have to trash the first one that's on the table, but that's a nice way to take on more core damage to trigger your sabotage if you need a bit more of that disruption. And for the resources, we talked about 2 counter surveillances, but 3 rogue trading are really important. This is we're importing from the criminal faction. It's a card that comes down for 0 and has 18 credits on it, which, if I'm not mistaken, is the most credits on a single card in the standard card pool. Spend 2 clicks to take 6 credits off of it, but the downside, classically, is you also have to take a tag. But the idea with this deck is you want to get this down, maybe earlier than you start taking tags, and then you want to spend a whole turn taking 12 off this and get 2 tags. That's kind of the issue with rogue trading, is once you're tagged, it's hard to put this down and get more than 6 credits off of it, and then the corporation will probably trash it. They generally should. Even if they do that, that's okay for you. They spend a click and 2 credits. That's meaningful on a lot of board states, specifically if you are being aggressive and the money's a bit tight. But the one cool interaction this deck can do is if you get a rogue trading down, you can maybe play a running hot and actually have a lot of clicks in a turn. You can empty out most of the rogue trading. And then will the corp trash it when there's 6 credits on it? Maybe. And I think often it's right to. And then we have a program suite. And if you haven't played standard, you have to say hello, because you're going to see a heck of a lot of this at Worlds. This is Paperclip. And specifically, these are the set of bin breakers, or conspiracy breakers as they're called. Back in the Flashpoint cycle, Anarch's got one of each of these type of breakers, and they're breakers that you can install clicklessly from your heap when you encounter the corresponding ice that you run into. So Paperclip is a fractor, so you just get this thrown out by either overdrawing and discarding from your hand or losing it to core damage, and then once you run into like a palisade or whatever your barrier is, you can install this and then break with it. It's fantastic. It saves you clicks, it saves you money, you're not installing cards you might not need, but on top of that, Paperclip inherently is one of the best fractors this game has ever seen. This is one of the most splashed and most played fractors in the entire standard format. It is absolutely ridiculously good. On top of that, we do have MK Ultra and Black Orchestra, a decoder and a killer that work similarly installed from bin, but they're much less efficient. You still want to play them though, because they're very good with the deck. You want to discard your cards anyways with core damage, so get these in the bin and install them when you need them. And finally, we're on Fermenter, a virus you put down that slowly brews in the background until you eventually have to click it to get some money. And this is a nice card. Again, we can't play resources, so it's nice to have a card like this that we can install, and then later on, when maybe our events have dried up, maybe we need some sudden burst of economy, this is something that you have in the background brewing and you only crack in case of emergency, and that's very much appreciated. It's worth shouting out some of the other changes to this list. So originally, while this list didn't have 3 jailbreaks, it had a single copy of Begamot, which is nice. It's a very efficient fractor. Paperclip is actually not that far different, but this is a very good card in very specific matchups. Against Wayland that are playing currently a lot of envelopments, a lot of barriers with a lot of subroutines, this actually is pretty nice, but we'll talk about how that sometimes doesn't line up too well, so this got cut. And of course, we can't mention a Tag Me deck without mentioning God of War. This is one of the Anarch cards that can give you the most tags without actually any interaction from the corporation. You install this, you get virus counters on it for a tag, and then you can use this to break any kind of ice in the game as long as you have enough virus counters on it and you have a lot of credits to boost the strength, because 0 strength is definitely not helping you. And there was a single God of War in the list before. There is a chance you actually want to play multiple of them and maybe less of the bin breakers, because this technically is a flexible solution, albeit very expensive. But this is one of the ways that you can go out your way to get tags without relying on your rogue tradings and your hot pursuits. And I think that might be right, because some decks or in some matchups, you actually do struggle to get a lot of tags quickly, particularly if they're not playing Tag Me Ice or their NBN in general. So I do think we might want to consider a bit more of this. And I think the last thing we might want to say here is Chastushka is like one of the best sabotage cards in the whole game, but unfortunately we're not playing it in our ESA deck. And the way I see it, while it'd be really nice to play this for 2 credits with Ghost Tongue, it's kind of difficult to put all your eggs in one basket. With some amount of Chastushkas, we already have 3 hot pursuits, so we have so many cards that only do something after an HQ run, a successful HQ run, so it's kind of hard to put, again, all your eggs in one HQ basket. I still think maybe 1 or 2 Chastushkas could be correct. It's just kind of hard to find the slots, because you have a lot of other stuff you need to do. A lot of times, actually, just getting multi-access is stronger than the Disruption Chastushka, because if you could access 2 from HQ with Jailbreak, you actually draw 2, so sometimes that's actually a better slot. And that's this list. And I said this before, a big idea of understanding when to play this deck or when to play this archetype is you also have to understand what the tag punishment looks like in the format you're playing into. And currently there's 2 big kinds of tag punishment that we're running into, and they're actually very common, for better or for worse. And the first kind of tag punishment is meat damage. This is boom. This is now that Hot Pursuit is banned. This is the only really tag-based meat damage punishment in the format, and it fires when the runner has 2 tags. If they do, it's 7 meat damage, which is a lot, but it's something you can actually survive. And that's a big breakpoint with this deck. With Obelisk, and this is a really important part of this card, if you can take on 2 tags, you can get up to 7 hand size, and then when you play against any deck that has boom, they really can't hurt you. Because boom is a double, so they generally can't play 2 booms in a turn. Mind you, they could set up 2 booms across 2 turns, but as long as you can get the tags up while still staying safe and keep enough cards in hand, you can actually beat boom decks consistently. And Boom is a very powerful, it's a very common card. Just a shout out for maybe startup players. This does have a trash cost in the bottom right corner, which means kind of like a resource or like an asset or an upgrade. You can trash it from a central server. These Boom decks are really popular. The week of recording, the deck list of the week was Bridgeman's Intercontinentals and German National Ob winning list. And this is a deck that is going out of the way to play 3 hard-hitting news, mind you, the premier standard format mass tag card you can play, and then punishing you for floating the tags with 2 copies of Boom. And we actually played into this matchup a lot, and I think we have a very favorable matchup on the basis that as soon as you get down your obelisk, as long as you can get those 2 tags, you're entirely safe from everything they can do to reach across the table and hurt you. But this is the issue where Essa gets a bit ugly and where Begamot gets a bit ugly, is that in these sort of matchups, it's actually kind of difficult to take on any amount of core damage. Because soon as you on turn 1 do like a tempo running hot, you're now actually at 4 hand size. So to get the obelisk down, to get up to 7 hand size, you need to now take 3 tags before they can land a Boom on you. A lot of times in those matchups, you'll be able to float a single tag without a problem. But again, as soon as you hit 2, Boom is live. So this actually gets difficult. And I found myself throughout the day of playing more and more often, if I'm expecting a Boom deck, to just actually not take tags, or sorry, not take core damage, do take tags until you are set up with 7 hand size. And at that point, you have the room to play running hots in your Ghost Tongue. So that does get a bit awkward. And I do think that after some testing, myself and Clem have found out if you want something that's a bit less flashy, but a bit more consistent, specifically into the Boom matchups, you might want to go out of your way to just play Hoshiko. This is an unfortunate matter. It's just Hoshiko is just very good, and you can get away with just about playing anything in Hoshiko. Her ability just gives you card draw and money, which is just fantastic. And so that actually might be a bit more robust, and you can play fewer of the sabotage cards. Maybe you can still consider Ghost Tongue, but at least then your hand size will not be challenged by some of the cards you're inherently putting in your deck. And of course, we'd have to mention Xayah when we're talking about a Tag Me deck. Xayah is one of the best runners in the standard format to play Tag Me, because if you're counter surveillancing R&D to access 8 cards, not only will you draw 8 cards back with Obelisk, you will get 8 credits back with Xayah's text. And we are seeing competitive Xayah Tag Me decks in the modern format, and they're very great. I think you're going to see this at Worlds. And I think finally, the last kind of tag punishment, which is just a bit unfortunate because we can't deal with that at all, is something like Market Forces. We've seen a lot of decks in the last Continental season that are playing Market Forces, a tag punishment card that just drains your economy and gives it all to the corporation, specifically if you're running a lot of tags. And we just can't beat it. Currently, the deck list of the week is Brandon's. This is Brandon's controlling the message deck that he just took to 2nd place at German Nationals. And while this deck has to change a bit because Archive Memories has rotated, I think you just play Booms in the slot. It has 3 Market Forces. And we just lose. There's nothing you can do. And that's unfortunately kind of the call here when you're playing a Tag Me deck, is you have to call the meta correctly. Because if you're playing all day against HB decks that aren't trying to hurt you and Wayland decks that are just on Boom that you can play around, like, you're good. You're all gas all the time. But unfortunately, there's a couple cards that are a bit difficult to deal with. And you'll see some of the other things in the videos coming up, some cards we have to play around, but they're nowhere near as impactful as Boom and Market Forces, which kind of are the bane. But again, we can deal with Boom as long as you're a bit careful. And that's this list. We have a whole bunch of gameplay coming up right now, a lot of different varied decks. I do think we played about a dozen decks, and I think 6 or 7 of the decks that we played into were all tag punishment decks, either Boom or Market Forces, or you see some other flashier stuff in the middle. And even with that field, and mind you, I think the Market Forces deck, you have like barely a win rate into that. And even into that field, we won the majority of our matches. So I still think this archetype is really fun, whether it's in Essa or Hoshiko, or of course in Xayah. Spend some influence on counter surveillance and Obelisk. It's a very strong and very fascinating thing to see and play, specifically if you've never seen a runner who's excited to get tagged. Enjoy the gameplay. All right, welcome back, Métropole Grid. We are playing some standard now, and this is a list that was sent to me by Claim, a player from my local meta and a patron on the Métropole Grid, and this is a Tag Me Essa deck. So the idea is we're playing Essa, and we have the Essa-like destruction from Sabotage, but on top of that, to make sure our hand size is okay, we're going to play Obelisk. Obelisk gives us additional hand size equal to the amount of tags we have, so we can play this instead of Marrow. And while we'll have less Sabotage triggers, that means we can play a lot of the other Tag Me cards like Rogue Trading, Hot Pursuit, stuff like that. Our opponent is playing the Op deck. This could be the Boom hard-hitting news deck, and if that's the case, as long as we can get up to 7 hand size, we're actually pretty safe in this matchup. So we want to just get our money, hold them down a bit, and go from there. Essa's ability is maybe not the most important part of this list. I think there's other Anarchs you can consider before this archetype. The cool thing though is we can play a lot of the core damage cards with a huge hand size. In that case, it can be a bit tricky because sometimes you're holding onto your important key cards, things like your counter surveillance, and you can lose them to damage. Now we do have things like labor rights for some recursion if we need to. But let's see how our start goes here. We can open up with the Wildcat Strike if we want to. If they don't ice up HQ, we can go and float always one tag without it being a problem. But as soon as we start 2 tags, we can get boomed really soon. Boom, mind you, is one of the biggest meat damage cards in the standard format. And it says play only if the runner has 2 tags, do 7 meat damage. But there are some downsides to it. It costs 4 credits and it's a double, so it takes 2 clicks. So as long as we won't float 1 tag, we're not expecting a lot of punishment if this is the op list. So we actually can go pretty aggressive here. We can jam down the op list, click for a credit, hot pursuit. They're just going to get rid of some agendas here with the dredge work. It looks like this might be the deck list of the week, the Bridgeman Ob list. So now ZF protocol goes back into R&D. Okay, so on its own too, like this is just a good enough card. This shows that we're going tag me pretty soon on. We could just go hot pursuit, obelisk. This is the first time a successful run, so it'll eat our trigger now if we just go ahead and hit HQ here. I think that might be fine. We could always Wildcat Strike first. Actually, that probably is better. I'm just going to hit this and see what they do. If they give us the card draw, then we can just hot pursuit in. Oh, I should have clicked back. They gave us the money. So now we can just do obelisk. We can hot pursuit in. So here is where we're going to start taking tags. This is an immense economy card. Obelisk says we'll draw based on how many cards we accessed from a central server, R&D or HQ. And there is the card that we definitely need to trash. This version has 2 booms. It shouldn't have preemptive action anymore. And that's going to help a heck of a lot. Here we could running hot. I don't mind any of these cards. Hopefully they hit the obelisk here, but this is going to give us our S ability, which is first time a turn we take a core damage, they have to sabotage. We're going to draw a card there for sure. So we should have the rest of our turn now. Let's see where they sabotage from. We have 10 credits. We do want to keep their board down, but they did 2 from the top of R&D, so totally unknown cards. So we do want to get our hand size up. So we need to draw up. For Menta coming down, last click is totally fine. I think the agendas would be in archives or R&D. We don't know what server 2 is. I'm going to check for a Rashida. Or even a Sviator is worth trashing. It's an urban renewal. Honestly, at some point we start laughing these off because we will have a huge hand size. Now next turn we can get 2 tags. At that point, again, we've seen 1 boom so far, but we need to get our hand size up to at least 7. Because it doesn't matter if our maximum hand size is 7 if we don't actually have 7 cards in hand. But this is going to be a fair bit trickier. In terms of the cards we have in our deck to give ourselves tags, it's mostly rogue trading and then the, what's it called? The hot pursuit. I think the list had a single God of War and I ended up cutting it. I don't know how many tags we need to get. I've added into this list things like Jailbreak, which I think are pretty potent, specifically because if we hit a central, we see 2 cards and then draw 2. Oh, they just dredge work back and then ZF, they're icing up R&D. It looks like all the agendas in there and that's totally fine. As long as we can keep get our breakers down, they're going to have a hard time scoring the remote server. Funny enough, we actually had originally this list claim had a copy of Begamoth in the list. I cut it, but Begamoth's actually good into this matchup if you can deal with the envelopments. So if we run HQ, we get a card draw at the same time. There's a big chance that isn't an agenda. I'm just going to draw up anyways. Ghost Tongue is probably what we want. Again, the chance of that being a boom is pretty unlikely, but we could get them the rogue trading and click it here. I don't think we need to. Labораtes is a card to help us with some recursion if we need to. I guess we can just Deuces Wild here. Maybe we can start with the Ghost Tongue and just hope that it doesn't hit the rogue trading or the deuces. That'd be probably fine. We lost the rogue trading. So we'll draw a card. Oh, we don't get clicks here. Excuse me. And sabotaging last click is really bad. I just thought we'd get extra clicks there because I'm too used to playing running hot. But yeah, you don't want to sabotage last click for sure. They sabotaged 2 from R&D. So where the spin doctors are important. The list, if I'm not mistaken, on the corp side runs a lot of global food initiatives. So 3-pointers that are worth 2 points for us. So we're going to have to steal 4 agendas. And they're not running any hostile takeovers because they're largely an asset-based deck and they can't give away bad publicity. But yeah, our rogue trading is actually probably worth getting down. That is kind of the hard thing with this list where you're trying to take core damage. We also do need to get the tags to get our hand size up. And they're playing preemptive. So this is technically an illegal card. In the new standard format, and I made this a standard lobby instead of a casual lobby, they preemptive the boom back. So this card actually has been banned recently. So, all right, let's start. All our events cost 1 less. So this is good. We'll draw the cards first. Go from there. None of these cards are that necessary. They have no cards on HQ, so we can't get the obelisk. We want to get some more money here. We have dirty laundries. Let's keep drawing. Wildcat Strike is good. Let's see what they give us. Probably the money, and then we can check server 3. If they give us the card draw, that's fine. We can discard all our breakers. Let's just check what server 3 is. There's no traps on this list. There's Rashida. Definitely need to bring her down. Cool. So again, let's get the paperclip out. That's the one that's most likely to matter. In terms of code gates, I think they're on a single Afshar and a Mouseless. Only one of those actually needs a breaker. Economic Warfare can be annoying. That is one card that they can play to make us lose 4 credits. And they're just purging, which I don't think does that much. Like, we're not going to click this anytime soon. So here we can draw once for Dirty Laundry. or that, a hot pursuit, because now we want to hit HQ. The question is, can we get ourselves up to 7 hand size? And we actually can't because the core damage is fighting us. So if we hot pursuit, we'll be on 2 tags, but we'll only be on maximum 5 hand size. So that's actually a fair bit awkward. It's kind of hard to get up to a 7 hand while also taking core damage at the same time. So I honestly don't know if we hot pursuit here because we lose to a top deck boom. So we really do need a rogue trading. We're running hot to start. They preemptived boom and something else. We didn't check archives. So we'll draw a card here. We lost the Black Orchestra. That's perfect. Our hand size is getting even smaller. Yeah, surviving boom is actually going to be kind of hard. I didn't realize how difficult that's going to be. Like, we need to take a lot of tags in a short window. So I'm just going to risk it. They trashed the 1 card from HQ and the 1 card from archives. Here we have still 4 clicks. I guess we're running archives. I don't want to run HQ anymore because we're not drawing with obelisks. And if this is an envelopment on R&D, we actually do want to crash into it. So, whoa, they lost a boom off the top of the deck. That's good. So there's only 1 more boom. So I'm feeling a bit better about taking the hot pursuit. Again, we have to take 4 more tags for us to be safe. They also lost an envelopment. I think we can just do sure gamble, run R&D here. If it's a mouseless, we can take a tag and we'll have a click left to consider breaking it. This does give a tag too. So this is actually a way that we can farm tags and we'll be able to see the top of the deck. So we'll know if we're hitting a boom or not. So this is actually a card that we want to hit over and over again to some extent. The money problem might be an issue, but we actually want to take tags. So I'm actually going to take a tag here. Border control. Okay, so that's not a boom. We have a dirty laundry in hand. We have to discard a card. That's totally fine. We can discard one of these too. So I'm just going to keep drawing up for a rogue trading. Paperclip. Okay. Yeah, let's do that. So they could draw once to hit a boom. We know there's a border control on top. In our heap, we have access, mind you. In standard, there's these really good Anarch breakers. Things like Paperclip, there's Black Orchestra, and the third one's MK Ultra, a killer. And these are programs, icebreakers, you can install from your heap when you encounter the corresponding ice. So the idea is they can install a border control, but we can run into it with the Paperclip and install it from our heap. So it saves us the install cost, let alone Paperclip is a really good, efficient breaker. Black Orchestra and MK Ultra are less good in terms of being breakers, but they're still amazing because you can install them clicklessly. All right, they drew up a fair bit here. So I think we're just going to go ahead. Having 2 tags doesn't really change much. We need to get to, what is it? A fair few tags now. Launch campaign. We'll trash that. We have a lot of money. Jailbreak, we can see the last card. We're just going to check server 4, run R&D. Again, their money doesn't really matter that much. We have lots of it. So Maryland, we're going to take that down. So here we want to get to 6 tags as soon as possible. So we're going to dirty laundry R&D. We also still have to draw up and maybe we can check last click, but the chance of being that the single boom is kind of unlikely. We have a lot of money by just all these events being really good for us. Spin Doctor, they can't have that. That can bring a boom back. And now we have to go back and check the top of the deck again. This will put us on 7 tags, which is perfect. I don't really want to jailbreak because I want to jailbreak next turn to use it with the obelisk draw. So let's just go back once more. And now we're going to be on 7 hand size. We obviously have to draw up, but this is like the last window of where we could be scared of dying. To boom. The 1 of boom. And 36 cards. It could happen. Pretty happy I ran back there. That was the second boom. So we trashed the Spin Doctor so they drawn an unknown card. And if we did not run back there, that would have been the second boom. And that would have been it. So currently they cannot kill us. The list is on 2 booms. I'm not. So here at this point, we just need to close the game out with our multi-axis. We know just all the agendas are still in R&D and this is not going to end the run. We can go through there. We are not going to have to keep up down all their assets, but they're going to have to pivot to scoring out. But here we can always like jailbreak R&D. We have 6 credits left on here. We're going to draw a fair few cards off of this as well. We could even like consider labor rightsing aggressively because it has a chance of hitting a steel skin scarring. I don't think we have to do that. But in terms of end the runs on the remote server, we can break everything besides sentries, and the list only has a single sentry. It's kind of the downside to playing the deck list of the week is that I know this list pretty well because I've played it a fair few times on stream. They're getting good money out of this though, that's for sure. Launch campaign, I think they can draw that. They have enough money. It's not particularly strong on tempo play. And there's an envelopment. We're going to draw 2 cards once it's over, which is fantastic. So here we can sure gamble. Again, we don't really have to get to 7 hand size anymore. We can go server 5. And we just want to force the reses here. We want to make sure we have a click left because we're pretty sure that this is a border control. So we can install and break. I don't actually care to break the credit subroutine. Yeah, why not? The thing is, like, once they trash this border control, it triggers the op ability, something we haven't described yet, and they can pull a code gate from their deck. That will shuffle their deck. It's a launch campaign. I think they can have that. That's fine if that's in the remote server. And here we can consider last click wildcat striking. I think we're happy either way that this goes because we have the hand size for the card draw. But here we're paying 1 credit to gain 6 or 1 credit to draw 4 cards. Both of those are really quite good. And we have another jailbreak for next turn on R&D. So there's a launch campaign. They just drew a launch campaign. There's an envelopment underneath it, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so we know both cards in HQ. But they're pretty far away from scoring out. So now our big answer is counter surveillance, which is a resource that when we play it, they have 1 unknown card in hand. We can run R&D or HQ and see equal cards to how many advancements we've or how many tags, sorry, we have, which is quite powerful. They just ice up HQ, probably the envelopment. We can force a res on the envelopment pretty trivially. It's just an end of the run. I'm going to start with the jailbreak though, because Obelisk is first time a turn we access. We draw that many cards. So I'm going to go jailbreak. Again, we want to take the tags. We want to make sure we only have so many tags because eventually counter surveillance gets out of control. But if we keep like just hammering R&D, there's a chance we can access 20 off of R&D. And yeah, this is going okay for us. There's a food off the top, our first agenda, and a hard-hitting news, again, a pretty dead card for them. Order here, it says paperclip. That's kind of an error. It shouldn't say that. And so we have another ghost tongue. We actually could consider installing this just to get more sabotage because you can discard that. What do they have on top of the deck? A hard-hitting news. So if they sabotage off the top of R&D, it's not very good for us. So I don't think we're going to do that. I think we're going to Deuce's Wild here because we'd rather lose our Steel Skin Scarring to core damage to get the free card draw. And this is the card that we need counter surveillance. So as long as we're accessing with 8 credits, which should be pretty easy, we will access 8 cards. We'll draw 8 cards with Obelisk, and that will be very powerful for us. I think here we can afford to run HQ pretty trivially. If they had a Svigator on the table, we'd have to be somewhat worried about something involving, there you go, that's an envelopment. That's fine. They can res that. We'll bounce off of it. This will slowly tick down. We could actually break this for 4 credits. I don't think we need to. Again, there's only 1 card in HQ we don't know, and that card's probably not going anywhere quickly. And then next turn, we can set up for the counter surveillance because they're just drawing a hard-hitting news now. And then we can go see 8 because we'll have 8 tags, and then we'll draw 8 cards with the Obelisk, which makes it really easy for us just to start windmilling down. Admittedly, you don't want to windmill down your core damage cards after you've seen the top 8 cards of R&D, but there's a big chance. And they're just purging gear, which I don't think really does much for them. Admittedly, that was our backup money because this is going to be a bit expensive, but let's go. This is why you play Tag Me. This is a big Tag Me payoff card. But that was our way to like make sure that we always have this. Like if we keep this in our back pocket, it means we can almost always counter surveillance because we're generally not getting 2 tags a turn. We just need to pay 8 credits. And again, we're going to access 8 cards, which means with Obelisk, we'll draw 8. So we'll pay 8 and see 8 fresh cards. As Yef, Steal It, Econ, no, Sandstone, Atlas, okay. Wall to wall, they can have that. It's not going to be drawn for a bit. And that is the game. And that is, hold on, Obelisk to draw 8. Good game. That boom almost sneaking through. Oh, that would have been the game. That's the sort of thing I feel a bit unfortunate for our opponent. They were playing a list that we knew, and that list has only a single tag punishment card, which is Boom. And this deck and this Tag Me archetype is pretty weak to a lot of other tag punishment. Things like Market Forces, specifically Self-Growth Program, are pretty rude. But we can deal with a single Boom as long as we get our hand size up. And from this, we're drawing most of our hands, so soon enough, we'll have the next counter surveillance, which is in the bottom of our deck, and then we still have all this like drip econ. So that's actually why this deck is really exciting to me, because it's playing Ghost Tongue in enough events, because we're not playing Drip Economy anymore in the standard format, and it's pretty fun. Your matchups can vary. Playing this into Market Forces NBN is maybe a bit of a disaster, but there's some good matchups. Let's get another one in. All right, we're in standard. We're playing Essa Tag Me into NBN. Pravdivost could also be on Market Forces, could be on Keegan Lane. I guess some of those aren't an issue. We are playing in standard, so you're gonna see a bit of a wider card pool. So some of these cards we'll try and explain. These are very interesting. It's a series of breakers that Anarch has access to in the standard format, which you can install from your bin when you encounter the corresponding card. So we have 1 for each type. Our opening hand's like, okay. We have an early Ghost Tongue, but nothing to play it with. The early Fermenter is nice. The Rogue Trading is okay to get down early when you're untagged, and then you can kind of take 12 off of it in a turn, especially because some turns you don't want to run into Prov. Let's go ahead and mulligan that though. And one thing that's really important, best of luck, have fun, is that if we're playing into NBN and we're trying to respect Boom as a win condition, a card that punishes having 2 tags with 7 meat damage, we need to get our hand size up with the Obelisk. So hedge fund, 2 ice. So hopefully we can start installing stuff as well. We have 2 breakers. Let's draw into some economy. Let's see what they do with this. I think we're okay either way. But let's give them the Wildcat Strike option. Either give us 6 credits after paying 2 or draw 4 cards. A lot of people don't like the card draw, specifically for Anarch, can just discard their worst cards, especially the cards you want in the bin. That can seem a bit rough. Let's get the Fermenter down. And if we put down the Rogue Trading, we're really showing what kind of deck we are. I don't know if we need to do that. I don't know if we need to do that now. So I'm just going to keep drawing up because we do want to get our Paperclip and our Black Orchestra into the bin. In terms of the ice suite, we're expecting Pravdivost, we're expecting Mess and Chestfo. I think we're expecting advanceable Wayland ice, probably barriers, and also a Vasilisa. So that's a reason why we'd want each of our barrier types. Admittedly, the Vasilisa for playing Tag Me doesn't matter so much. But yeah, it's scary. They have Planogram, technically Tag Punishment. We'll see if they're playing more. But they're just icing up all central servers against ESA2. Sabotage can be pretty mean. We'll drop. Let's do another one. We should have planned the rest of our turn there. I think we're just gonna, well, we want to do that sooner than later because if they give us cards, we can work with that. I think I'm gonna drop once more here. There's a chance we could running hot. If we hit one of these three, it's pretty ugly. I'm just gonna hope that it hits a breaker. Fantastic. So here we hit ESA for the first time. We take a core damage. So it's Sabotage 2, and we can draw a card. We have 4 hand size, which is going to be something we have to play around. At least that gets our paperclip in the bin. They are going to do 1 from HQ, 1 from R&D. And we can actually consider running. We want to get the paperclip into the bin. So if we do that again, we still have 3 clicks. We can continue to draw. And we want to get our Ghost Tongue down next turn. So maybe we don't play the Sure Gamble here. I think we can show our hand a bit. I think we can install these 2. So now they know we're a Tag Me list. So that will change what sort of ice they want to install, what they want to res. You want to kind of hold off this information as soon as possible, for as long as possible. I don't know if they would have pegged us as a Xayah Tag Me deck, but now they understand like, oh, the hard-hitting uses are useless. The Vasilisa has much more marginal value. Turnpike is way less good. So anything that just gives tags is not as great. But cards like IP Block are good. Market Forces, Self-Growth Program, boom. The Tag Punishment cards, those are a lot better as well. But next turn, we can just go get a +2 hand size and rogue trading, and they're icing up R&D, which makes a lot of sense. So if we hit this button, we could die to boom as soon as this turn. We'll take the risk. We're on 19 credits and 2 tags. Again, our hand size is equal to the amount of tags we have, or additional hand size equal to the amount of tags we have. So once we get to 7 hand size, there you go, Planogram to gain 3, but not to draw. Oh, they could have drawn 2. It's weird that they didn't. I wonder if they're flooding HQ, and we're going to go lose the rogue trading, so that's totally fine. Okay, Obelisk down. I think here we want to consider running. We have access to only 1 breaker, so I don't want to just smash in with the Hot Pursuit. If we want to play the Ghost Tongue first, let's just hope it hits the paperclip. It didn't hit one of our better cards. That's fine. We want to get accesses because Obelisk draws cards based off of how many cards we access off a central server. So just running HQ here is good enough. Again, we don't have a paperclip. If we hit the IP block, we're fine. And we want to also do some damage to HQ because if they throw out their worst cards with Sabotage and then we run, we're less likely to hit some ice or operation that they're not interested in playing anyway. So we want to try and Sabotage sooner than later. They can also res like some of the bigger stuff here. This is what's hard with playing Sabotage and then also running is like really key events. Is sometimes you just lose them. Maybe we should play the 3rd labor rights. Just an ice wall. Okay, that's gonna end the run. We're not making a successful run. We know that we have what we need in hand to get through that. I think there's a chance that we just install the paperclip and run for it. Yeah, it gets us our card draw. We'd love to hit that instead of the Hot Pursuit because then again, tags, good. And here we're going to access a card, draw a card. They're going to advance something. At minimum, it's the ace wall. No! Oh no! And it's a quantum predictive model and agenda that they get added to their score yard because we're tagged. So there might be at least like 3 points in their deck that we just can't interact with. So that's bad. Clearly they're a check a Scion deck. There's some sort of deck that's going to go out of their way to tag us. So I think it's sooner than later we're going to get market forced and probably pushed out the game. So we have to be a bit more aggressive. Upgrade on HQ. I don't even know what that could be. Like maybe a Keegan Lane, but that's totally fine. I think Keegan Lane's the only thing that really makes sense. That's a Keegan Lane. What does Keegan Lane say? Keegan Lane says trash 1 program. Okay, so if that's a Keegan Lane, we want to hit our fermenter sooner than later. We'll still go in here. I just don't want to lose that fermenter with all the value on it. So let's see what they advance. They're just advancing the ice wall. Makes sense. Card from hand, the Bologna, we'll take that for sure. And it's a virus. That's another good reason why we wanted to go out of the way to trash our fermenter. We get to draw a card here, which is fantastic. We now have up to 7 hand size, which means we can survive boom. So we could just do draw here. The other thing is if that's a Rashida in the remote server, that's pretty bad for us. So I think it's actually safer to run this to trash a Rashida and then draw 1 more card. Obviously, we're not going to survive into the boom, but the chance of them drawing, actually, no, we should just draw. They can have a Rashida here. The agendas are not going anywhere. So let's just get 7 hand size. Oh. Unfortunately, we don't have the hand size we think we do because we took 2 core damage. So we have to work a bit harder to get the tags with Obelisk. So we're going to throw out our 2 least useful cards, let alone we do want the MK Ultra in the bin. So we could die to boom right here. That'd be fitting. They didn't res a Rashida though in server 1, so I'm not actually sure what that is. It could just be like a like a Vladisibirsk, maybe? Chillin'? And the fact they're playing Mavirus, it's just a good enough card, but I think they, oh, it could be a Spin Doctor too. I think Spin Doctor would be quite likely. Okay, we have 16 credits. Dirty Laundry HQ's just good enough. Again, all their events reduced cost by 1. This only costs us 2 credits. It's going to get stronger throughout the game, but if they're advancing this, they're not advancing any of their traps. That might make sense for them. And we draw a card after this. Red Planet Couriers. Uh-oh. So that means Big Beal with Biotic? It says Paperclip here. That's an error. It doesn't actually mean anything. We'll check server 2. Again, server 1 now might actually be a Vladisibirsk. We have to deal with that. Red Planet Couriers? That's a data ward. And so we are heavily tagged. So we're going to take a tag off of that. They have 5 credits to score out. We're going to just let that fire. We could go through that for 7 credits. I don't think we really need to now. Let's just check server 1. I don't want to let a Vladisibirsk on the table. And if that's a Drago, I don't think we mind. It's an Urtica. Oh, yuck. Huge yuck. Do we trash that? Yeah, because they're on Red Planet. We do want to trash that. And we could die to Boom here. Okay, that's a good draw at least. Man, I don't respect the Urticas. At least that's one of the best things. Here's just a Beal. It's a false lead. Okay, that's fine. If with double false lead, they can do something with Red Planet Couriers. That's actually pretty interesting. That's kind of cool. All right, we need to get more tags because, again, we have 2 counter surveillances in our deck. And we need to find those sooner than later because that's how we can close the game off. So we're just going to head and hop Pursuit HQ. We could die. No, they don't have credits for snare, but in theory, we could die to a snare. Abstractly, we don't have 3 cards in hand. But this is amazing. This is an 8 credit econ card, and we get a tag and draw a card. This Ice Wall is going to continue to get advances. We know the Red Planet in hand. I think that's all we know. We could actually run our archives. I think we should. See what they advance. Probably Ice Wall. There's a Red Planet, the one we knew. We'll draw the Obelisk. We have a Steel Skin that's clicklessly draw 3. That's good. Let's do that. All right, let's check archives. It's a pop-up window. Okay. We're not going to install the Black Orchestra. Actually, it is worth installing to some extent because it is a cheaper thing to install if there's degree mills in archives. So actually, that is worth considering. This card, mind you, costs 1 credit to go through. They gain a credit. Oh, yeah, there's so many quantums. They definitely want to throw those out. Beans, they're on 3 agenda points. Okay, so there's a news team. We're going to take 2 tags from that. That actually powers us up. The Mavirus, that purges, it doesn't do anything. But that actually kind of helps us. The news teams are something we can run to get 2 tags if we quickly need to close the game out. Here we could, if we want to be really safe, drawing up to 6 doesn't change anything. We have the Steelskin Scarring. We could just play Steelskin Scarring, or we could hit R&D. I'm going to Steelskin Scarring because we haven't seen a lot of influence besides the Ice Wall, the Mavirus, and the Red Planet. I don't know if they're on Boom, but I don't want to die to Boom here. Spin Doctor, so we want to take that down before we sabotage. Hopefully they take it down themselves. I don't know. They need Biotic into Red Planet, which is 8 credits, I think. Okay. And in our deck, we still have access to all their jailbreaks, which would be really good on HQ here. They did discard 1. That would be okay. I think we can start with a Running Hot. It's actually, no, it's not good with the Spin Doctor on the table. Let's Deuces to draw. Because we want to find, Dirty Laundry is good enough, but we want to find jailbreaks. We want to find our counter surveillance. Do we need 3 credits or do we want to expose an ice and make a run? I think we want to expose their ice and make a run. What is this? It's a Thoth. Okay, that's very much worth knowing because that can absolutely end us if we connect with this at a bad time. Let's run R&D. This will get us our Obelisk draw as well, and we know they can't res the outermost. 4 credits. Okay, it's an Ice Wall. I was saying if it's a Mess and Chestful, they're 1 credit short of resing that. Advancement. Psychographics. Okay. That's terrifying. We need to keep their economy down. That's hard to do because Psychographics, mind you, means they can fast advance from hand. So we need to keep sweeping hand. We need to get the agendas out of HQ. We have 9 hand size. Counter surveillance, 2 in the bottom 17. Oh, we'll get draw here. Okay, that's a Wildcat. We don't need the money. We just need pressure. Let's keep drawing. No counter surveillance. We kind of want to keep the Obelisk till next turn. We have 1 too many cards in hand. We can just Dirty Laundry HQ. Because we need to still hit the agendas because they're 1 Psychographics and a half away from scoring out. Econ's the issue. Data Ward, okay. And I think we just go back. Like, we have the money to sustain this. 3-card Ice Wall, not bad. Red Planet, okay. So we know those 2 in hand. And now they have a Psychographics in hand. So they could actually install Psychographics to get a 3-2 scored if the Beal is there. And the Beal has to be in this list, I imagine. But that's not market forces. That's good for us. Install. Psycho. Oh, they did have it. Is that the Beal that we couldn't find? Logic Pace 3? Yeah, there's a Beal, so we missed it. So running HQ there was definitely correct, and now they're on game point. So we just want to go ahead and jailbreak HQ, I think. We know 2 of the cards, that's not good. But I don't like jailbreaking into, this is our easiest way that we can draw into, mind you, if we hit the last quantum predictive, they don't win. But if we hit the last, we want to hit the counter surveillance. If we see the top 2 cards, if we trash one of them, like we'll see deeper, which is good for us. The economy isn't great here. There it is, that's what we needed. Attitude adjustment, 15 minutes. Okay, that's a very important steal because they could have won with that sooner than later if we get the last quantum. So that's good. So we can now technically win. All we have to do is counter surveillance and to steal a Bologna. I think that's a play. Do we want to get more tags? They're on 1 credit. So we could run archives to get 2 more tags from the, what's it called? Maybe force a shuffle from the news team. And then we can see 7 Mac. I think we're going to do that. I think we're going to run archives here. So it's a pop-up window. Again, we have enough things to shuffle away if they're on Degree Mill, so we're not going to install a Black Orchestra. We'll pay 1 here. We'll take 2 more tags from the news team. Maybe force a shuffle if they threw out a Bologna. I don't think they did. Oh, they did. Okay, this is good. So now we're seeing even more cards off the top of R&D, and probably there's 1 more agenda back in R&D as well. They actually could consider shuffling the news team away because the news team is actually powering us up. So we're going to hit the news team. We're going to take 2 more tags. We'll hit them a virus. No purge. And now we can install the counter surveillance and run R&D and see 8 cards. Action? Sorry. Oh, false lead. Right. Are you sure? Oh, they had false lead. They could actually forfeit the false lead. So we should have waited there because they can always forfeit this. Okay, sorry. So we're going to hit R&D here. Again, yeah, they could always forfeit this. If they do, I think we're okay with it. So we know they can't res this Thoth. We're going to access here and we're going to see 8 cards. I totally forgot to play around the false lead. But if they false lead us, I think that's totally fine. We still have that play next turn. And the chance of them winning off the top is very unlikely. We break this one for 2. Reach server. We pay 8. Unfortunately, we're not drawing 8 with Obelisk. We could have next turn. Hedge fund. Beal. Okay, we'll take that. Take 2 more tags. Trash it? No, they can draw that. Actually, I don't know. Spin Doctor. Our money's not amazing. We have a lot of burst economy in hand. That is not going to be drawn for a while. I don't think we have to trash that. We need to keep Bologna money, most importantly. There you go. If we trash that, that would have been so wrong. Woo! Last card. Good game. Last one was the Bologna. Thanks. That was fun. Yeah, that's hard. Like, there's clearly tag punishment. They're not playing the stuff that like would have pushed us out of the game. Things like market forces would be like way worse. I think if they false leaded there, it doesn't really change the game. They would have top decked an attitude adjustment, which they could in theory play. I don't think they have agendas in hand. And then from that point, we still have an R&D in the next turn because they can't res the Thoth. And I don't think there's any ice they can install that would keep us out. And we had a lot of money still in our hand, right? Like we had Sure Gamble. We can click this for 5 credits, 5 more credits, as long as we have the money up front. We have the Rogue Tradings to MTA too. So that's cool. That's a fun matchup. That's actually quite interesting. I'm really scared to play against NVN because they inherently have tag punishment. But we got there. All right, we're still playing standard. This is going to be a bit of a rough matchup. This is Architects of Tomorrow, which maybe now with the the change of economy suites going more to run-based economy, maybe the big changes with not having a drip economy, we can push on the standard format more towards Glacier and mid-range Glacier, which is pretty exciting. Now, this is cool because this is one of the few matchups that we can almost guarantee say is not playing tag punishment. So we can go out of the way to get our disruption, and that's pretty good. Our opening hand is, it's okay. Sure Gamble's good. Maybe we get a cheeky jailbreak early. We have a fermenter for the late economy. And I think that's going to be okay. This is one of the matchups where you can take core damage because hand size is not that important. Best of luck, have fun. Because we've been playing way too many matchups into things like Boom or even net damage stuff where like getting a low hand size is kind of difficult. So I do like the fact here that we can just play every single sabotage card and even like play 2-3 ghost tongues as long as we can get enough tags. All right, double ice up, and this is Architects of Tomorrow. The first time each turn a runner passes a res Biroid, you may res another Biroid. So we want to make sure if we're running a lot. We want to have clicks left in the turn for sure. We're going to do Sure Gamble. I guess we can start with the Wildcat Strike to get a couple more credits here, just so we can trash more stuff. Let's do Jailbreak off of R&D, which is open. Did they mull? They mulled, so their hand might be bad. Off-world off the top, 6 deals, Seamless Launch, gives us an idea that they're going to be a bit more aggressive than we think they are. And here we should get running hot pretty easily. We're hoping not to hit the Fermenter. Amazing, because we know the top cards is a Seamless Launch, and we actually want that sabotaged. So they did 2 cards from R&D. So the top of R&D is brand new, and one of these cards is a Seamless. So we can draw once for like a Dirty Laundry. Oh, we're so good at this. Let's hit R&D there. Absolute wild turn there. Our hand size is only 4. Unknown card, Regolith. Definitely bring that down because we don't want them to have it. And let's just go back for another single. Let's just put their fermenter down. It's going to be a longer game. That being said, they could actually be pretty jammy. In terms of the Biroids, we have to watch out that this is not like a ganked Loki type deck. We saw a bunch of those over the last Continental season. But otherwise, on sell, oh, they have another Regolith. At least they only clicked that once. So there's a big chance we can run through this and click through it. So I think we need to do that. Even if they get 4 credits, that's fine. We're going to run first click so we can click through Fairchild 3, which, hey, there you go. So we're going to click through all of that. They're going to get a cheap res. They can res up to 5 cost. Means they can't res an on-sell or brand, but they can definitely res something like an Eli, which is taxing enough, I guess. There, Ravana. Okay, so Ravana is annoying. Trash that. No money for you. And we still have, that's what the great thing is. You can much more easily click through something like a Fairchild if you have other stuff on the table that's giving you value. Spin Doctor, there's only one unknown in archives because we know there's a seamless, but we definitely want to trash that sooner than later. Let's draw once because we want to play that. We definitely don't want to dirty laundry that thing. Let's force here. They probably want to shuffle the Regolith back in. Regolith, okay. With 3 credits, can they res an ice on HQ? It's honestly not very likely. If it's an Eli, we can always like end the run. There's no like hard punishment here. Actually, the worst punishment would be a Ravana. But if they give us a Ravana to do a core damage, let's run HQ. They just drew a lot. The chance of them having a Resable is actually pretty unlikely. If it's an Eli, we can just bounce. So there you go. I was a bit scared to dirty laundry. There's the Ravana. And here we could consider running hot. It loses us a dirty laundry, but I don't know. I guess if we're playing ASO, we might as well. So you sabotage 2. They did 2 cards from HQ. So I think HQ pressure is a bit more relevant now. Let's try jailbreaking here. Let's see if they kept the Ravana. And this draws us a card too. We're just as aggressive as possible. Vitruvius, nice steal, Ravana. Okay, so they threw out 2 worse cards than that. We have grip size 3, still 2 clicks left. It's also good to keep these sometimes to be able to have more clicks to click through Biroids. But this is aggression. Haven't got a tag so far. Why don't we start here? Not the best access because we're very likely to hit a Ravana half the time. Oh, the game was in there. Oh no. So we're 1 click short of scoring this, but we know where the game is. So we know it's an HQ and it's probably not going anywhere. And we're starting to take some tags. So even if we get a counter surveillance, another jailbreak, we can sweep HQ. We just have to make sure we have 2 clicks and, 1 click or 2 credits. We actually could have won that turn. And there you see the pressure on HQ. I think we're going to go run into this first click no matter what. Because again, even if it's an end the run Biroid, okay, we're definitely going to click through that. We can jack out after, but we know the game is in here and we still have a click left. So it's a 50-50 on winning the game. So here they can res something for 5. They can't. So 50% of the time, every time we win. Ooh, that was rough. Good game. Oh, we were super aggressive there. We got a fair few accesses and not many turns. We kept their economy down. I think the fact that they installed and res the Regolith, like that was basically 2 clicks for 1 credit and gave us full information. Sure, it did bait out a free run off of their archetypes tomorrow, but if they didn't res that, I don't know if we would have run it and then we'd have got a whole turn to clear that. But we got actually a fair few accesses there and we did a fair bit of damage. And we're starting to build our tag engine and we still have the fermenter in their back pocket, which is fantastic. But yeah, that's just aggression. That blowout can happen. That's the difference between when you don't have to respect tags or hand size. This deck can go wild, hard, and fast. All right, this is hilarious because this is actually Claim's list, who is a player in my local meta, who sent me this list on Patreon. They support the channel. You might know this one. I did make some changes. I do think I like a lot of the changes that I put in. I don't know if they're perfect yet. In short, we are now running the jailbreaks, which works so well with Obelisk and give us a bit more pressure, which I am a big fan of. But also this is like, again, maybe this is the 3rd time you've seen the video. If this is the op deck list of the week, I think we're actually quite favored. We just need to make sure we don't take 2 tags too soon. We do have the early Obelisk. Rogue trading, we can take a single tag pretty simply. And from that, we have a Wildcat Strike to open with economy, a Steel Skin for draw. Well, we could do worse than this, that's for sure. Best of luck, have fun. The one thing that I have seen, is that again, it's like the last 8 matches now, assuming this is the deck list of the week, we've gone to 6 tag punishment decks. 6 or 5, I think it's 6. And while Boom on its own is something we can beat, Boom makes it hard for us to take core damage. Because the more core damage we take, the less likely we are to be able to get the 7 hand size to survive Boom. So it's a bit obnoxious. Let's start here. So in this, we probably are not going to use Essa a lot. But in any matchup where the core, that doesn't matter, I think we can take a fair bit more core damage for sure. So I'm going to just drop the Obelisk. We can run HQ here. We get a draw and an axis. And from there, like we can put down the rogue trading. If we take it twice, we also need to have enough cards in hand. Forma carry, now this is a different list. This is actually more likely Man in the Moon's obelisk list, if not its own spicy obelisk list. So this actually might not be on a boom list. I'm going to try and use that to our advantage. But I think Forma carry means that it's more likely to be on like the, what's it called? The Bladderwort type list, unless it's on something else interesting as well. Again, this also could just be Claim's own version themselves. So we need to suss out what sort of damage there is, if there's any tag me meat damage attached to this. We saw a Forma carry. Again, we can always take 2 meat damage. We do have a Steel Skin Scarring in hand. Of course, we'd like to keep the counter surveillance. Let's see how many tags we can get, but the jig is kind of up here. And here we probably just Steel Skin for 3. I don't know. We could check into a Forma carry pretty easily. Doesn't actually do anything. We want to run as often as we can because of the obelisk. And if that's this list, they're also on, if I'm not mistaken, White Space, Ice Wall, some of the cheaper, lower stuff. Just force a res here. Afshar could make sense too. We'll see if this is just Enigma. Okay, that's actually a real face check punish. Wasn't expecting to see that. So we know the Forma carry. We could rogue trading here, but then we'd lose it. So I don't think we have to. I think Steel Skin Scarring is probably worth keeping because of the Forma carry. Let's just force out some reses here. If it's a battlement, or sorry, an envelopment, we want to get that res sooner than later. It's just a Whoredom, so they're going to get the credit back. So this is not Man in the Moon's list from Continentals. This looks like to be their own brew. So we actually have to now think our way through this one. So they're going to get that fired. I don't know what their agenda suite is. If they score an SDF and trash the Steel Skin Scarring, we're pretty happy. Let's just draw once. And running hot is good if we're not expecting boom. Second Rashida, very good stuff. So much card draw, and we probably want to run HQ at this point. A jailbreak would be amazing because it's like turn 3 and they've already drawn almost 15 cards, right? More than. The chance of an agenda in server 1 or HQ are both quite high. Advance kind of makes that obvious. And that's an Atlas with a counter. We're in a bad spot. We have a Whoredom in hand, but not enough economy to get it done. So we could always hit rogue trading. We'd have 5+6. Then we can install our Black Orchestra. We'd be down to 8. This breaks for 3. I think it's a thing we could do. We don't have access to paper clips, so a border control here would be pretty rough. But at least if they res an envelopment or border control, the scoring out is a bit harder. So let's go tag me. Actually, we should hit the running hot. It's a 50% chance if the Steel Skin, we get a whole turn. Beans. We still have a turn here, no worries. SS Sabotage 2. We know that's not a spin doctor on the table. They're going to go from 1 from HQ, 1 from R&D. You like to see that mix here. We could rogue trading once more to run the remote server. We also could rogue trading once and expose this ice and then either run R&D or HQ based off of what this is. Again, if there's a Forma carry in R&D, we need to run with 2 cards in hand. So I think actually, if anything, we just rogue trading run server 1. Because this has to be a border control to end the run. At least if they do, oh, that's really bad because they actually only pay 2 credits for that. So they can still score out. At least we survive as EF. But we need to find our breakers now sooner than later. We're on 2 tags. We could just die to boom. And this Atlas means they can find a boom. Oh, it's off-world. Okay. I don't think they're on any tag punishment. Let's just go. This is not the hardest remote server to crack as long as we have, you know, breakers. Got 2 cards, gain 3. Okay. Again, it's a 50-50 on the Ghost Tongue. Never lucky. Haven't found another breaker yet that we need. I know Claim's version originally was on a Begamot and a God of War. We've dropped those, and I think I'm okay with those changes. God of War is like the fastest way to get tags where running centrals is hard. Again, they did 1-in-1. I kind of want to check that. Let's draw into like a run event. Okay, let's just check it out. Here they actually could do their Forma carry if they want, which I'd be okay with if that takes it off R&D. The Forma carry? Nope. So we see what they have in their deck. An Audacity is a fast advance piece. Good to see that go. 2 more barriers, which are barriers they can also pull off the border control. And they are on an extract and no Svigator yet, but they're also on NGO front, which is another good thing to worth noting. There's a big chance they're on like Managarm and using the like Managarm Forma carry interaction, which is actually quite rude. So maybe we want to run R&D just to force the Forma carry to get rezzed. Double install. We haven't seen a Seamless yet. It's probably Spin Doctor somewhere. We're still in 5 hand size because we have 2 tags. I don't think they're on boom, but we could easily be surprised. So we need Wildcat Strike. We're not going to get the draw off of it. I do think we just Steel Skin Scarring for click to draw 3. Like we can't play around the Forma carry. Extract the Whoredom. Nice. They know we can break it for 3. So let's see what they get. They get a 3-coster here. We've seen 2 Sandstones. Oh, just for money. I think they missed, which means their Enigma is out. Their Afshar might be something. Oh, it's a Mavirus. I don't think we care about that. That's actually something we have to trash sooner than later. Nice. Because the idea is on their turn, they can pop them a virus at instant speed to go get something like a Managarm to put it on server 1 and then do the Forma carry Managarm interaction. That's actually really, really quite rude. They have 15 credits as well. I think we have to start with a card draw. I think we just tank the Forma carry no matter what. Okay, we have a paperclip, which is good. So this is where they can do that. They can pop them a virus. So I want to run R&D. I do want to run R&D. Because here, if we run R&D, they can still do Formicary Managarm, which is going to cost us 10 credits plus more to trash. I kind of want to keep it. I missed it twice out of 2 cards. But yeah, it's not bad. Okay, so this is the like, I'm really scared about this virus into Managarm thing. I think here we could consider just Dirty Laundering HQ, and if they eat the Dirty Laundry with the virus into Managarm, like whatever. The chances of there being an agenda in HQ is kind of low. It draws us a card though. Yeah, I'm just gonna go for it. We actually probably should Wildcat Strike first. Yeah, I'm really interested in interaction with Formicary virus. I think it's probably a bit more potent than it might look, especially because they can pull it at instant speed. Wall to wall, we're not gonna trash that. We draw a card. I don't know why it says Black Orchestra here. Doesn't actually do anything. And we got our MK Ultra, so that's 3 cards for the Formicary. So here we can draw once. I was a bit scared to jailbreak here. I think we can draw once. We need to get the paperclip in the bin. I guess there's no way they Wildcat Strike to give us cards. That's bad, because now we're not throwing out our paperclip. I don't like this. Yeah, that's not good. So we're gonna have to install paperclip charge server 1. Let's see what they can get. It's just a wall to wall. We know 1 in hand. That's fine. It's gonna accelerate the card draw. They probably are on multiple audacities. Actually, maybe not, because they're on real 4-2 agendas. Advance here, so we know that's a Formicary. I think we're pretty sure it's a Formicary, so the advancement actually doesn't matter, but it doesn't matter on any of these ice, and that actually kind of puts us off the trail. Server 2 is probably a Spin Doctor, if not a Svigator that they're waiting on. It's actually worth pressuring Spin Doctor, at least before we do another Sabotage trigger. We're not going to play that many more Sabotage cards. There you go, Spin Doctor rezzed. So now they have some options here. In terms of Sabotage triggers, while we can keep installing more Ghost Tongues, we do have more Running Hots. And card in server 1, we're going to have to charge that. We just need to make sure we have enough money for the Formicary thing. So I think we're going to run R&D first to try and force the res. Especially with Jailbreak, because we need to pop this here before we run server 1. Question is whether we can do everything. Oh, they're just doing it at immediate speed. So they're popping they're there to get the Managarm. So here's where the Formicary is going to be a bit of a liability. And they install a card on R&D. Wow, they're doing a bit of everything. This is where pinhole threading saves us so much money. It actually saves us 10 credits. But this is a good remote server. So I think we just do paperclip, run server 1. We need the money. We'll run server 1 twice. We have to run it back because of border control. They can't pop border control until after we pay the Managarm, but we're going to have to pay the Managarm twice. So that's 10 credits. Oh, well, that's disgusting. Yeah, they're going to rush us out. This is cool. Again, the Formicary Managarm combo is like, it's really weak to pinhole, but otherwise it's very, very strong. See what they pop here. Again, they can always pull a 3-coster out, but I think they failed to find a 3-coster. So these border controls might not be as scary as they look. Pay 5, and now they can Formicary us. The thing is here, we're going to let that fire to get our breakers in the bin. We're trying to hold on to our jailbreak. We'll take the 2 net damage. Fantastic. And now we'll pay 5 more. Die to snare. They can't border control after. Wait, can they border control after this? Okay. We dealt with that. Atlas. Trash the Skunk works. Great. So we have 1 click here. We'll draw. Yeah, so that's interaction. So Formicary is another win and approach. You can res this and move it. We knew that was an R&D. That was advanced card. So they can force their approach on Managarm twice. And that's pretty mean. We knew what that was. We saw the combo coming, and that's where Mavirus is really, really quite good because it allows you to do all of that. And now the remote server is actually not that hard to run through. We have to pay 4 credits. We have to then pay another 2 credits. The thing is, like, breaking list is actually expensive for 3 credits into Anarch. So we're going to try and take the meat damage more often than not. But this is where we can maybe lock the top of R&D. We have cards like Jailbreak. They did draw a lot. Now, if they have an agenda, it'll probably go into server 1. So I don't love the Jailbreak on Centrals. Here, we probably have to empty the Rogue Trading. I think they want to trash this. When we're down on 2 credits, you definitely want to trash this. I don't think they're on tag punishment, though. Shit. A Managarm, a Virus, a Crisium Grid, all very good cards. We definitely want to hit this up. We're at 3 tags. I think we can just run R&D to see what this is. If it's a Managarm, we can just end the run. We want to force a res here because we haven't seen envelopments yet, and that's a 5-cost res, which just ends the run. And if that's a Mavirus, we don't want to put down a Fermenter first. I wonder if they're on Global Food Initiative, if they're running actual like big 3-pointers. Let's see if they res here. No res. It's a Crisium, that's fine. It doesn't stop us. Oh, it actually does stop at Obelisk draw. Card from deck. Spin Doctor. Don't love trashing that while they have another one. Crisium Gear, we can't afford to trash that. Oh, I think we'll just put down the Fermenter. It also stops the jailbreak. So that is annoying. That actually is quite annoying. Let's see what server 1 is. It's on 4 credits. They scored an agenda. Actually, wait, hold on. We died a ZF here. Uh-oh. It's not ZF. It's another off-world. That's fine. Forgot to respect ZF. Yeah, we could have died out of nowhere. Okay, so that Crisium is going to hold us back. They are an on-game point. We need to get our credits up. We have access to all breakers. It's just economy, which is the issue. Again, we can run HQ. It costs 3 credits to draw a card and get an access. That's a bit expensive. They have a small chance of having an agenda there that they top decked. We are currently like 25 cards and we've seen 3 agendas. So we're assuming there's actually 2 more agendas around here. Let's see where we go. Another rogue trading is okay. It's a bit too slow. We can definitely install it because the next turn, that's a problem. Rogue trading is so slow. Like we can't rogue trading run this remote server. We know we have to run it like 3 times. I do think it's still probably one of our best installs for last click. Yeah, okay. We can always consider hitting the labor rights button. Spin Doctor to shuffle. So they drew, actually no, we knew the top card. We know there's a Spin Doctor in hand. So actually running HQ was not very good. But they're going to Spin Doctor off the top here. Let's see what they pulled back. Pulling back a virus means they can pull a 2-coster and instant speed, which is quite good. Gets them a lot of options. Audacity is also very important. Extract is a good econ card, gives them flexibility, especially where they can make their forma carry, which is still pretty potent. And next turn, I think we would just empty the rogue trading unless they do install advance. Immediately, if they score another 3-2 out, then we have to worry about Audacity, which is hard. Okay. They didn't trash this, and that's the Spin Doctor on the table. I think we just need to get money. Because this remote server isn't that unfair if you have infinite money. We don't have infinite money, but we have some money. Let's see how hard this could be. Double Seamless is unlikely. Rashida is a good start there. That's the 3rd one? Yeah, that's the last Rashida. Yikes. So now the chance of them having Audacity is good. The chance of HQ pressure being a bit stronger is good, but server 3 is... Yeah. What the heck was that? We thought it was a Spin Doctor. So now Audacity is a problem. So we have to jailbreak HQ. We know there's a Spin Doctor in there, but we have to go as hard as possible because we need to steal the agenda so they can't Audacity out, let alone maybe they're on hostile. Don't ask again while Black Orchestra is installed. Cool. That's new. What a play. There's the Audacity. Uh-oh. So we need to find every agenda. Boarding control. That's not it. We draw. Does it not say that we draw? Oh, it's not happened yet. Okay, so we draw with Obelisk. I don't know what we could draw that would be really meaningful. We need to lock the top of R&D. I do think we have to jailbreak HQ again. We know 3 of the cards because we're pretty sure there's a Spin Doctor in there as well. Either that or we could run R&D and trash. You know where the win is for you, I don't think I do. Well, I know where the lose is. Not so much the win. So if they have another agenda in hand and it survives, like we can jailbreak again. That's probably what we have to do and just see the top card of R&D. Like I don't think we have other options here. I think we know a Spin Doctor. You change the list a bit. Oh yeah, well, even if we get a counter surveillance, like we have to deal with the Crisium first. So I don't know. I don't know if we can count on the counter surveillance. It's obviously like the thing that will win us the game from this board state. But we also have to deal with the Crisium sooner than later. Border control. Virus. Oh, so bad. That was our money. Okay, at least we know most of the cards in hand. Woof. Okay, it's okay. We still have economy in hand. This is a 5-credit card. I think we can hot pursuit for additional economy, and then we can just run R&D once. We should be able to break whatever we can. So we know Audacity, Border Control, Spin Doctor. Maybe they threw out the Spin Doctor because they want to have 1 fewer trashable in hand. Okay, good hit. Got to click back, run R&D. 18 credits. We just need to make sure they can't draw an agenda. Let's hit R&D. We have to trash the Crisium grid. Afshar, break that for 3. Card from deck. World Office. Okay, we're holding on. We have to trash this. Because the only way we can win now is to get like a top counter surveillance. Like real soon off of the top 20. Credit. Oh, that's good for us. Unless they boom us, which they would have done already. So we know Border Control. That's a counter surveillance card. So we can't play around that. In terms of what we've played, we know they have a Spin Doctor in hand. So if they put something in the remote server, I don't know if we have to run that. But we played 2 jailbreaks. That's a Spin Doctor. I don't think we run that. They drew an unknown. That's a Border Control. Okay. Pretty sure that's a Spin Doctor, which is scary because that means they can break lock pretty hard. So what do we do here? If we labor rights, the chance of us hitting Steelskin Scarring is not unlikely. I think we probably do it. It's the same as drawing a card, but it also makes our deck, we can increase the value of our deck thinking, but this is so important. I think Spin Doctor in server 1, border control here. We saw something else in HQ. Running R&D is going to cost us 3, 4, 5 credits. Yeah, we'll start here. So we missed, running hot actually is a really good top deck. So what do we want to get back into our deck? We want to get jailbreak, and I think running hot. Oh, we lost a counter surveillance. A counter surveillance would be important too, but we have to pop the border control somehow. Probably which would be a jailbreak. I'm going to do the running hot. Okay, deuce is a good enough start. We'll draw 2. Not good cards here. I think we need to get the run in. I don't think it's an HQ run because we know Audacity in hand and one unknown. So if anything, we can run R&D. This is going to cost us 2. This is going to cost us 5, dropping us to 4, which means we can still sure gamble from that spot. We'll expose the border control. Yeah, and run R&D. This is getting close. I'm pretty sure that's a Spin Doctor. And the problem is if they break the Spin Doctor lock and then they find an agenda they can Audacity out. And there's still a couple. Like I'm assuming there's one above the Law 1 Atlas. So maybe it's only 2 and 17. Because they might be on like 3 hostiles. I don't know if they have an SEF in this. Let's see if they... Oh, I paid already. I paid 3 on Roach. They could pop it here. NGO front, I want them to draw that. We don't want to trash that. We draw a card from Obelisk. Okay. I'm going to sure gamble first. Question is, do we run the remote server? This costs us 2/2 and we can take the damage. If it pops the border control, they shuffle. So I don't want them to shuffle because we know the top deck is kind of dead. We probably have to draw here. Ugly. Oh, we have 6 hand size. Or sorry, 9 hand size. There's no way that's in the remote server, but Claim's been making, yeah, there you go. It's a Spin Doctor. Claim's been making some really cool ruse plays. Oh no, they got it off the top. That's so close. Advance. So it was just after that NGO front. Maybe we should have gone back. Good game. Was it just under NGO? The thing is, like, even if we ran Spin Doctor, they could have popped it, so they would still get the draw. And if we do that last click, which they can ensure with border control, we didn't get it. But yeah, that Audacity was definitely an issue. I wonder if we could play that any better at the end. We need to maximize our accesses. They didn't have it in HQ, the top of R&D. But if it was just under the NGO, we'd have to run twice. So it'd be on them to pop the border control. Maybe that was the right thing, is trash the NGO and go back, because we knew that was a Spin Doctor. That actually might be right. Ah, dang. Would you have popped BC if we went back? I wonder if they would pop border control if we went back. Because maybe it was trash NGO run back. I just didn't want them to draw it. But I guess in retrospect, the fact that we knew that was a Spin Doctor in the remote, that was probably correct. And that would have been the game. Close one. And this is Claim's deck, mind you. We made some changes, but this is pretty interesting. Not only for multi-access was my thinking. Oh, cool. Neat. Yeah, this is his list that he sent. So I'm excited that we get to play against him. And let alone that very squeaky victory at the end. It's great. All right, let's try and get another one in. That was fun. All right. Playing startup, trying not to die to NBN tag stuff. Uh-oh, it's Acme. We're playing standard. This deck's been a lot of fun, but we've been running into more often than not NBN decks and Wayland decks that are trying to kill you. And if they're just trying to kill you, that's okay. But if they're trying to do something else like market forces, self-growth program, all that sort of stuff, this gets a fair bit more rough. Not much we can do. They took a mulligan here. They're going to have some really good ice. Things like Data Ward are hard for us to deal with. This might be more Glacier. It could be a bit more of a rush. Mind you, Acme has a strong ability. The runner's considered tag when encountering the outermost ice, and there's so much ice in the format that says if you're tagged, something worse happens than normal. So we have to watch out for that for sure. Our opening hand, we have a deuces. That's fine. An early Ghost Tongue is a bit dodgy. It has a chance of hitting our paperclip, but a chance of doing financial damage to us. I think we're going to keep it and just hope that they're not on tag punishment. They're just playing Glacier. But again, if we see a hard-hitting news, that's a totally different thing. Best of luck. Have fun. Yeah, we've been a bit unfortunate. Maybe this is a bad meta call. This deck has been really fun, but more often than not, we're finding ourselves running into tags. Icing Up HQ also makes a fair bit of sense. We're not on Shestushka. Let's hit a Ghost Tongue. Actually, perfect hit there. Sabotage 2. S's ability. So they have to decide 2 cards from the top of R&D could mean everything we need. Let's draw 2 cards to make sure that we can steal Bologna. Speaking of steal Bologna, let's get a sure gamble, run archives, see what they've thrown out. It's 2 accesses. We could take a 2 axis, send a message. Okay, they're gonna get a very expensive res there. Just a fun house, resing a fun house for 5. Like, that's interesting. That means that tags matter in this matchup, which of course they do if they're playing this ability to some extent. But that might mean that we don't want to take a lot of tags unless we can get the 7 hand size with boom. And we're actually further away from that now that we are, you know, we're on 4 hand size. Can we go tag me as soon as turn 1? What's yellow? Let's find out. So they're going to take a tag off the funhouse, 2 tags. So again, as long as we can get our obelisk sooner than later, this will be okay. We're doing this way sooner than we need to. We're going to take a tag from this. We're going to get an access. But we could die as soon as this. Hard-hitting news means they're probably on market forces, self-growth program, or boom. So if we can't get our obelisk down sooner than later, it's a problem. I think here we'll steal Skin Scarring to hope to hit anything else behind the counter surveillance. Paperclip is perfect. We're going to draw a fair bit here after Sabotage 2. But we could die to boom as soon as this turn. Running hot. 2 cards from R&D, okay. Let's keep drawing up. We need to hit the obelisk. We need to hit the obelisk. Dirty Laundry means we can run HQ very easily once again. And maybe we can close out the game sooner than later with counter surveillance. We're going to have to install another card. We'll take a tag here. Again, market forces is awful. We'll take another tag. We need to trash that boom. With 8 credits, they can't res Hydra, which would be the one bad face tank here if we run into unresed ice. It's a big old sentry. Come on. Hard-hitting news again. Okay. Again, if they want to tag us, that's probably not good news. Let's just run R&D to maybe hit a boom here. IP block will end the run. Turnpike. Doesn't matter. Data ward they res, that's totally fine for us. That's way too much money. IP block, okay. So this could be our last turn. Discard down to 3 cards. I totally forget we have like no hand size, let alone boom does 7 meat damage. It could be over as soon as this. Credit. I guess we are alive. Draw last click. Oh, that's not good. Okay. Now, if that is a Hydra, we are not going to be able to counter surveillance this exact turn because it will end the run. But we could see 5 cards off the top. If it's a degree mill deck, we are going to have to get a card on the table. They only drew once, so they know we know they have a hard-hitting news and the IP block. We need to get our MK Ultra down sooner than later. We also need to find our obelisk. Jailbreak has a chance of hitting the obelisk. Let's sweep out HQ a bit. Tell me about it. And there's some unknowns in R&D as well. Maybe they want to keep credits to res the R&D ice. Install Black Orchestra. Honestly, there's a reason we would want to consider it just so we can steal a degree mill. I'm going to go ahead and do that. But I think they're on Bologna send a message. So actually, this is probably not right. Let's see how bad a market forces is going to be. This draws a card, send a message, sick rips. We're on game point. There's the Hydra that we were playing around. Again, 10 credits. This will end the run, let alone do a fair bit of net damage. So that is something we have to get through with our MK Ultra. So we can survive another turn. I think we can counter surveillance to win. We'll just play this, discard 2 cards. And then next turn, there's a small chance that we can squeeze victory from the jaws of defeat. It looks like install, draw, hedge fund means we can do it. We can see 7 cards off the top of R&D. We have Bologna credits. Let's go. What's the math on this? This is probably expensive. R&D. Continue to counter ice. I'm glad that we just went for it. Install MK Ultra. We have to break all of this. Don't ask me again. 12 credits. That's fine. We still have 7, technically 7 to access. We'll lose the tag. Oh, actually, we don't have Bologna credits. Wait a second. I did this math way wrong. Oh, we're short 3 credits. Do you mind? I didn't do the math. I thought, like, wait, one of these subroutines we can let fire. Let's let one of these fire. You can gain 5 credits. Yeah, we don't need to break all the subroutines because we want to access with at least 5 credits for Bologna. So they're going to gain 5 credits off that middle subroutine. So we'll break the 3 net damage because that flatlines us and we'll break the end of the run. So we'll see 7 here. So Spin Doctor, we can't trash anything. We want to steal Bologna. Drago, no. F2P, no. Hard hitting, no. Send a message, that'll do it. Woo! Technically didn't matter. But that is turn 4. Good game. Oh, get out. Yeah. Only 7 agendas, I take it. Yeah, we were playing against the Bologna really hard. Green hand. Oof. We missed all of those. So apparently all the agendas are also in hand, which means the chance of this counter surveillance converting is actually quite low. Bit of a silly aggro deck there. We had just enough money to respect Bologna, but I think they had like all the Bolognas in hand. Wow. Are you on boom? Only a matter of time. Yeah, they were on boom. It's only a matter of time because they're on boom before they draw that and we die. They're on 3x. I've never seen a 3x boom deck, even in Wayland. So they really wanted to hurt us. In terms of the obelisks, again, our hand size would have been 3 + 7, 10. So if we got our obelisk down and just drew up, we'd actually survive for a while. And then they would need market forces or other punishment. So that actually wasn't potentially the worst. We just need the obelisk sooner than later. We also did not have to go as hard on the early as we did, thanks to the game. All right, we're playing against Pravdivost. Again, I think the majority of games we played today have been against tag me decks. So this is always just unfortunate. The question is, can we just go ham enough where we hope it doesn't matter? Because the problem is it's really hard to play core damage cards in ESA when you're trying to get the 7 hand size to play around Boom. So it's going to be a short game. If it's Market Forces or Boom, Market Forces, I put our win rate around 15%. If it's Boom, if we play conservatively, we actually can do something. So we might actually just want to mulligan for an Obelisk and then just not play core damage for a bit. Not a great hand. At least we get some card draw. So we'll see. I don't know whether this is accurate of the meta right now, but like out of the majority of the matchups, a vast majority of the matchups we've played have been against NBN with tag punishment. So it's really ugly here. All right, we don't really want to draw or to run because they can get advancement and that could be pretty impactful. We also don't want to show that we're a tag me deck too soon. Let's keep going. Let's walk at strike. Let's see what they do here. It's their choice. Mind you, we are playing standard. 6 credits for us. We could run here. We can also just throw out our Black Orchestra. Running hot is like not bad. There's a small chance there's a Spin Doctor on the table. They did mulligan. But if we run and we give them advancement, like it changes. They can score agendas on the table now. I'm just going to click for a credit and throw this out. We also could draw. I don't think the labor rights is actually necessary. I'm glad we did draw. Because I think we're going to lose or win before we're going to need to play this. Rashid and their mode server. Server 2 might be a Chekist. It might just be a Vladisibirsk. Or of course a Drago. Anyway, to just get advancement value if that's server 1's not like an advanceable ice. Mesnachestvo or like a barrier. Yeah, that's the issue. Like obviously such a powerful card. And mind you, they didn't ice HQ. Chestushka is not a card we're playing. Kind of a card I want to play. Like it's so easy to play and it's a powerful multi-axis tool. But we already have so much HQ pressure with Hot Pursuit that it feels like we might be putting too many of our eggs in a single basket. All right, we don't have the Obelisk. I'm just going to get impatient. I'm going to play that to see what they do. We don't want to play our Ghost Tongue this turn because Essa's core damage trigger is only first time a turn. So playing 2 core damage cards is a bit bad. We can just run this, I guess. I do think server 1 has a chance of being a Spin Doctor as well. But now we're putting ourselves further away from hitting 7 hand size. All right, Rezo Funhouse. Come on, make my day. Read server. Could be a Chekist. It's reversed accounts. Okay, so definitely a hard-hitting news list. It's cheaper to trash that than it is to let them take more of our money away. So we're going to do that for sure. We can draw once here. Nice. We could keep some of these for the Ghost Tongue. The problem is it's sometimes difficult to do all of that. So we can always do like Dirty Laundry Sure Gamble Dirty Laundry Archives to try and hit a Bologna. They also advance this. So this is likely a Mesnachestvo, which we can break for 3, which is not good res for 5. So I understand why they would want to wait for the advancement. Because then it's a 6 credit break. All right, let's just check Archives. Small chance of stealing an agenda here. We also get a bit of a read of their deck. I think they did 1 from HQ, 1 from R&D. Oh. Wraparound of Vasilisa. So it doesn't tell us a lot about the deck. And then we can get a Fermenter down just to get some economy over time. We can pop this when we need to. I'm not expecting them a virus. We have been seeing them pretty commonly. They're pretty good. 419 is around with an Amakua. Got to deal with that. That's what Artisa. See what they do there. Again, they need 5 credits to res their ice on server 1. Server 2 could still easily be a Spin Doctor. It's also been, they've gone through a fair few cards. They've gone through 15 cards. It is a Spin Doctor. Priority Construction. Oh, wow. To install a piece of ice and place 3 advancements on it. Really cool. That could be a Naket. But this is a 1 influence card. But this is really good too if people are playing Misfingo, which I don't know how much influence it is, but it's like really good into the endurance meta. So that's only 2 influence. I think that's reasonable. This scales infinitely in standard. I'm so used to playing Pravdivost in startup. So the chance of that being a Misfingo is actually like non-zero. And again, we want to deal with the Spin Doctor before we put down our Ghost Tongue. We're not really excited to put down the Ghost Tongue. We could run here and force them to have it. If it's a Naket, it's pretty bad. If it's a Hortum, it's like really bad, but at least we have the Black Orchestra. Maybe it's Shiashi. Yeah, okay. What does this say? Does it say any ice? Any ice, because you don't reveal it. Yeah, okay. So it doesn't have to be advanceable. That's really cool. All right, I guess we're drawing up here. There's actually a chance that playing Laborites is like, okay. I'm going to try it because it has like I don't know. We have all our Steelskin Scarrings. If it hits a Steelskin Scarring, it's good for us. Oh, it did. It hit 2 Steelskin Scarrings. Yo. So it hit 2 Skills and Scarrings. So we, played 1 to draw 5. That's kind of wild. We can shuffle some cards back in. So I think we want to consider the Obelisk. I'm not sure if it's a tag me list. Reversed accounts might just be a Glacier list. So we can choose what we want to get back in here. I'll do the Obelisk. I think that's good enough. And I think we're going to do the Sure Gamble, the Dirty Laundry. Deuce's Wild also has a fair bit of utility and a 3rd Steel. There's 3 Steelskin Scarring. Technically we shuffled, but I guess there's 3 in a row. Oh man, that's wild. Okay, so no access to Paperclip. Again, the Whoredom is the big blowout. If they spent, what is it, 3 or 4 on that, that's totally fine. So I think we're going to run the Spin Doctor. We're going to trash that. That we can do Ghost Tongue into one of the events that survives. They get advancement, so they're going to trash it. Oh, that's not good for us. So now I think we really want to run this one here. What can we force out of them? We know that this is a, yeah, if it's double Code Gate, we're fine. If they res a Mess and Chespa, so be it. And we can still install the Ghost Tongue last click. Because this is not first time per turn, so I'm not really like stressed to get the power out of this. There, it's an Nutcat, okay. So that's another advancement, unfortunately, for them, so they actually can score out of Bologna. But this is something that is going to cost us 4 credits to break, and they're still going to get advancement and a credit, so well done to them. Oh, they hit the Steel Skin Scarring. Oh no, we have to discard down to 3 hand size? How did I not see that coming from a mile away? We have only 3 hand size and we have 8 cards in hand. Oh, this is so frighteningly ugly. Okay, well, that's obvious. This clearly is not going to do anything. We're going to keep the running hop for next turn. Let's play 2 hand size. What does it matter? Rogue trading is a bit too slow, I think, for how fast we have to go. I think something like that. I didn't realize the hand size is going to catch up to us. So let's see what they score out here. If it's like a crypto crash, kind of bad. Okay, kind of bad. We're on 2 credits. Luckily, we can recover from that. And we need to get our paperclip sooner than later. So let's start here. We'll draw 2, gain 3. Okay, so here we do gamble into running hot. That's going to hit our paperclip. Nailed it. And now we can run the remote server. Do we die to Urtica? Yeah, we do. We have paperclip in the bin. Mind you, these are the heap breakers from the standard format that you can install at instant speed. Let me move my face. Again, we have access to every single breaker. The problem is we don't have enough credits. So we could go tag me. We could install rogue trading, hit rogue trading, and then run remote server. And I think that's quite fine. Like we died to Urtica regardless. I don't think they would have jammed an Urtica because it didn't seem like we could run this. We're going to die to Urtica no matter what happens here. So we pay 4. This is expensive. And then for this, actually, wait, hold on. They are short resing the Messna Chespa, which costs 5. So I'm okay with this. I'm cool. Yeah, Messna Chespa is 5 to res, which is what I'm expecting this to be. Because I don't think we had enough money to install our Black Orchestra and also do everything. So Rashida, okay, we'll take that down, I guess. 2 hand size. We have all their money on our Fermenter, which is 8 credits. That's good. We also have the Rogue Trading, which now that we're tagged, the predictive planogram is 3 cards and 3 credits. Massive amount of value. Take that like Violet level clearance. So the Rogue Trading has to go down. There you go. At least we got 6 credits off of it, I guess. But now our Obelisk looks good. Card in their most server. Now they can res the Messna Chespa, which for us is going to be 3 to install, 3 to break, 3 to lose. So that's 9 credits to go through that ice. So this is, again, like so expensive. And we're not on Botulus. Like, oh man, maybe we should be. Let's draw up. There's the Obelisk. At least we can like thread an HQ. This is probably a Messna Chespa. I guess we crack this first and then run R&D. If they res here, they probably can't score out. Admittedly, we are giving them advancements. But we can break just about any kind of ice that we need to. Vasilisa would be annoying. The run also gets a free advancement. So that's the problem, is like anything we do to interact with cards like Obelisk gives them more power. So let's see what they decide here. So we're just not getting enough accesses to win. At least now we do have 3 hand size. The more tags we take, the stronger it is. So maybe they don't want to res things like an IP block into us or like a turnpike. All right, it's a Vasilisa. We're just going to take the tag. Unfortunately, this allows them to score out next turn, and score out looks like they will. We're going to take the tag. Hand size goes up. Breach. We have enough for Bologna. There you go. There's a Bologna. We'll take it. Obelisk gets a card draw. Our economy is a bit strained right now, I'll be honest. Especially if that's like a reversed account. So at least we won't lose all our money. Well, we will lose all our money regardless. They over advanced it, I mean. But now our R&D is technically open. So we still have like 3 jailbreaks in the list. Off-world office is amazing for them. If they jam in here and it's a Bologna, they can win next turn if we run. Are we going to run? Yeah. How else are we going to win? We have to run. But like the tempo power of just Pravdivost ability, it's massively powerful. We haven't seen a lot of this in standard format, but I think this is such a good ability, specifically if a lot of the runners are on run-based economies, because you lost things like, Rizeki and Patap. Like you have to interact a bit more. At least criminals, it seems like that. All right, ice there on R&D. Let's draw into something. Jailbreak is a bit scary. If it's a Messna Chespa there on HQ, we can't get through it. If it's an Aket, we can. We face check, we lose 3 credits. I don't think there's an agenda in hand. It would have gone on the remote server, so the game seems to be on R&D. Let's just check. Because the advancement on the Vasilisa doesn't look so good on this board state. But as soon as an agenda goes into server 1, we're done. So let's force a res here. So interestingly enough, if this is a Messna Chespa, oh, they didn't res. I wonder if they couldn't or they chose not to. But if this is a Messna Chespa, If they res it, we could always install our Black Orchestra. I think that's when the trigger is, so that we can duck it. So we actually have no money, but we don't lose 3. We only lose 2. I'm not sure if that's good. They paid a credit to advance that. So that looks like more like an Akhet. So Rashida, they can't have that. Unfortunately, they're going to see an unknown card. We draw with Obelisk. Dirty Laundry Archives is probably fine. There's some unknowns in there. Yeah, we have 4 hand size. We can draw up once. I don't know what we're drawing into. Or 5 hand size. That actually might be more impactful to get that down. Okay, some weird stuff in here. Seamless launch. No surprise how aggressive they are. They threw out a Herald. Nice. And another Basilissa. And of course, the Blidissaburst, which at this point, they kind of want to just find that Bologna, which they might only have 1 more in the list, if not 2. I think it'd probably be on 3 Bologna. It's good enough. Planogram, draw 3, gain 3. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Just soft tag punishment. So now they advance this using this. A card you can't advance. Okay, so the limits of what this is actually shrunk a fair bit. But I do think there's a big chance that's a Messna Chesvo still. Which means as long as we have 3, 6, 9 credits, we can jailbreak. But then we can't interact with Bologna. But the problem is if we run here, like we lose in the remote server more often than not. So it's 3 to install the Black Orchestra, 3 to break, 3 to loss. Yeah, we'll just do credit, jailbreak. It's going to be all our money. We could win, but it's so niche. Yeah, there you go. Called it. Black Orchestra. Now, when the runner counters his ice, they remove a counter, so we lose 3. So this is always going to be a 6 credit break as long as we're running. We timed it out. Again, that would have hit first on encounter before we were able to break. So we have to make sure that we had at least 6 credits when we hit it after installing this for 3. All right, and then we can click put Fermenter down, but I think the game is going to be over. The big question is whether that's the Bologna. If that's the Bologna, this is over. Actually, it's going to be close. Again, they get advancement for 1. They might as well. And then they get advancement for free. So that puts it really close. So they're not paying, right? All right, we draw a card here, another jailbreak, nice. Now they get their advancement. A cat off the top, Crypto Crash, pay 4? Oh, what? Oh my God. I didn't see you played the current at all. I didn't see that they played this. The player is over there. I'm not paying attention to that. Yeah, there's no way we'd access with 0 credits when they played NPD Corden. That's why it says pay 4 to steal. We wouldn't have gone in that turn. What can you do? Obelisk to draw 2, and it would just do credit. Good game. Yeah, it's so bad. I didn't see the current over there. I didn't pay enough attention to log, and it goes over here, which is kind of hard to see. Not over yet. Okay. I forgot what's on top of the deck. Like a Basilissa into the agenda. Install. Advance. Advance the Messna Chesvo. Okay. So we know there's 2 points on top of the deck. I don't know what the heck this is. Could just easily be an agenda. I don't know if it's a Bologna. They only have 1 credit, so this is probably an NGO front, which means they're on 6 credits, which means they can res HQ, which is likely to be an Akhet, which only cost them 2 credits after a refund. So that's probably the Bologna. So trashing this doesn't actually matter because if we run this, like, yeah, that doesn't actually help. So how do we get through all of this? We could do credit, sure gamble, jailbreak. They still get an advancement onto the Bologna. They'll be able to win if that's a Bologna. How do we run this? If we run the remote server, to run the remote server, like we have to break this for 4. We have to break this for 6. So that's 10. And then we need 15 credits. So I don't think that's happening this turn. So we can just hope the top of R&D and that's not the Bologna. If it's a Beal too, but I don't think they're on Beal. Small chance we win here. They have to be 2 2-pointers in a row, which seems unlikely considering there's probably 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah. All right, so they made us lose 3. Do we have to? We only need 6 credits for that. Yeah, so we still do. Yeah, we have to play the Sherpa Gamble. It's just it's unfortunate we don't have a click left here. Draw card, Crypto Crash, NGO front. I think I can draw that. They got 2 advancements on both. So they have 8 credits into 4. So that should be it. A good game. Yeah, we spent a lot of money on a very useless run last turn. And that actually could have been the difference between running a remote server. So they have an NGO in their hand. Looks like that's just a 4-2. Unfortunately, it's a Crypto Crash for us. They have 6 credits though. So can they res what they need on HQ? Again, so for us, we need 5 credits to get into HQ. They have an NGO in hand. Game is still afoot. But we called that right. We just thought that was the Bologna. And I think they might only be on 2 Bolognas. So they're advancing the Mestnachestvo for a single action. Again, that might or might not be worth it. So if we get HQ, that's like an absurd amount of money. We can force them to res on HQ. We could do credit hot pursuit, but then they definitely res and we need 4 credits. So I think we just click for credits here. If we install the fermenter, it costs us 1. Next turn we pop it for 4. So we're spending 2 clicks to gain 3 credits. It's marginally better than clicking for credits, but not a lot better than clicking for credits. I think one of the only ways back into the game is we can click for credit and next turn do hot pursuit, run the remote. NAPT coordinating. Yeah, I think we have a chance here. So we have to do credit, hot pursuit, remote. Because we're assuming that this is the Yuccat. If it's for some reason Mestnachestvo with 3 advancements on it, then that gets really rough. But also if they res this, they can't res the ice on this remote server. So that gets more interesting. If they don't res here and we give them the second hot pursuit, that's the blowout. Now, admittedly, we're going to get them an advancement counter here. So we need at least 4, 5, 6, 8 credits for the remote server. So they are resing here. So we definitely pay for this because we're going to make a successful run anyways. Oh, this also is really bad too. Because no, never mind. This is worse because it makes it makes this harder to steal. We still make credits on this though. This also draws a card, which maybe draws us into a burst economy. Pop-up window. We'll do our obelisk trigger. Running hot's good. That's clicklessly sick. Hold on. We're holding on. We definitely play that because it's the only card that it could possibly hit out our hand is a hot pursuit, but we have 2 of them, so we don't mind. Draw a card, yeah. Sure gamble. Hold the phone. They only have 2 credits. They can't res here. Wait a second. Okay, hold on. So we sure gamble. That is more money. Thinking. So if we sure gamble, that's 5 credits. We're on 14. Okay. We could always go back here, but it gets a bit worse because we pay 4 on this. We get back technically, okay, so we pay 4 to run HQ. It's 5 with hot pursuit. And then we get back 9. So it's technically credit positive. Unfortunately, every time we run through this, we give them another advancement, which changes the NAPT coordinate. This one we did recognize. Otherwise, though, if we don't need to do that, we can just do sure gamble, credit, and either straight run the remote or credit run the remote. I think if we're playing around border control, but I don't think it's border control, they can't res it, so it shouldn't be. And if that's the case, we definitely sure gamble here. But with 14 credits, it's 4 for this, and then we need to pay 4 for this plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so to steal the agenda, it's 4 credits. It could be a Bologna. That's gonna, if it's a Bologna, we're done. But if it's not a Bologna, it's 4 credits to steal, plus it'll have 4 advancements on it. So that's 8 more credits, so 9, 10, 11, 12. So we're actually just short a bit. I think we're just short like 1 or 2 credits. Okay, so again, it'll be 4 to steal. Then it'll have 4 advancements on it, so that's 8 more credits. So that's 12 to steal. So we need 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So we'd click for 2 credits we can get through. Is there any chance running HQ with hot pursuit is better? This again, we would pay 1 for it, would be on 13. We pay 4, we're down to 9. Then we gain 9, so we're on 18. It's slightly better than clicking for credits. It's just, it's ugly with that. But if we do this again, we're on 13. Then we break for 4, we're on 9. We gain 9, we're on 18. Then we click for credit, we're on 19. We run this, we're down 19 minus 4, we're at 15. They can't res. Then we access here, it's gonna have 5 advancements on it. So we have to pay minus 4 and then minus 10. So we have 1 credit. So it's actually very comparable. I think we just do credit, run it. If this is anything else besides Bologna, we can have it. Is there anything we could draw into? No. The hot pursuit is like comparable. The problem is like you get an advancement back. So it's like we're paying 5. Yeah, right? So break 4. If it's Bologna, we lose. Wait, hold on. So should I just have a click left to run R&D? We running hot? What did they trash from? 2 cards from HQ. So running archives is not very good. The question is whether we should have another click left for, because if we're on 15 credits, we break this for 4. If we're on 15 credits instead of 16, we break this for 4. We're down to 11. Then we have to spend, so we'd be on 15 minus 4 is 11, minus 4 again. And then no, we have to, we can't. I think there's a small chance that we could have hot pursuited, then run the server to have a click left to run R&D. So I don't know if this is optimal. Funny enough, if that's a Vasilisa, they win. Because that's another advancement we can't deal with. I don't think they can res this. It's a Mestnachestvo. This has to be a Mestnachestvo. Oh man, it's blown or bust. Let's go. Oh my God. Oh my, good game. Credit perfect. Oh man, that took a long time for me to do the math, and they were just sitting there being like, oh, if that's Bologna, they don't have it. But we paid 12 credits exactly to steal that. Absolutely wild. Yeah, fantastic game. My preemptive GG's. Yeah, it's good in this deck. I believe it. And turn 10, 24 minutes. Okay, wow. So any tag punishment? Whew, yeah, that was really close. Obviously, like when it comes down to single credits, you can be like way more strict or way more critical about like certain like unelegant turns. Obviously, like we kind of threw the game when we ran R&D, not noticing there's an NAPD cord in, which obviously was a really terrible play. That counts. But they didn't actually have tag punishment. They were just like a value Pravdivost deck. And that's why I'm really excited to see more competitive Pravdivost, because I think it's a really strong ability, especially if runners are having more of their economy based off of interaction. So I'm a really big fan of that, because this can be mean, it can be wild, and it still can be a very fast deck. It's just not something we saw at Continentals. I wonder how well it does into boat. I guess things like Arcad are pretty fair. NAPD Corden makes it more interesting as well. And you could play Musfingo if you wanted to. And that's this list. And I got to go through the replays, but I think we played like 8 or 9 games there. And the majority of them were against Tag Me punished decks. And the boom ones alone, I think we played against Op a couple times. The boom ones, we can beat. We can beat. It gets a bit tricky, and that's where S's ability gets a bit ugly, because you don't actually want to take core damage because it puts you further away from the 7 hand size, and that's a bit hard. So that's a bit hard. I do think, I don't know whether that's accurate of the meta, but we played into Market Forces decks, and we played into just about all the other punishment too, which is hard. But you see this deck into something like HB, this deck into something like, I don't know, Jinteki can still be difficult because you don't love to take core damage. But like it has some really strong teeth. I'm not sure whether S is the home, but S is really exciting and fun. And if you can deal with the meat damage issue, you actually do have some additional lines. Running hot is a heck of a thing. Thanks so much for watching. Huge shout out to Claim for the list, and we'll see you in the next one. Here on the Metropole Grid, we are supported by Patreon. So I wanted to take a minute to give a huge thank you to everyone who supports the Metropole Grid. Thank you so much. It's greatly appreciated and helps me put more time into this channel. Now, of course, we are going to give a shout out to all of our Sure Gamble and higher patrons. Firstly, huge shout out to Clement. Thank you so much for the deck list. And of course, as well, thank you to Luke Dennis, Jay Verrill, Alec, Andrew Jolly, New Object, Jossie Barron, Jason Gessner, James Coulson Wright, Nathan Hutner, Spooky Noises, Matthew Shanwell, Chris Mitchell, Elliot Mobby, Lucas, Chris, Kat Shen, Zach Cruz, Lee Butler, I Feel Fine, Sven Vazan, Daniel Cook, Jalen Horm, Paudrig O'Rouche, Ash the Channel, Izzy Stardust, Phil Ulrich, Encoder, Sebastian Colorado, Awesome Case, Astrolad, Levi Corner, Arthur Pitt, Matt Conduit, Chris Watt, Adam and Fish, Shane Lilly, Andrew Robertson, Scott S., Taekwon Dean, Artem Mikhalitson, Sebastian Koch, Stefan Primal, Dan Bouchard, PR Small, Zane Shrev, Bookkeeper, Sean Devlin, Icarium, Ewan Milne, Hanny Hebisha, Francis Fortin, Jeff Bennett, Joe T, Cror, Jonky Bong, Ken Elwin, Spray, Nathan Durant, and Michalis Migas. And of course, thank you so much to all of our Daily Cast patrons. All your contributions are absolutely appreciated. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. And we'll see you in the next one.